Going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown, episode 228. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
What's up, people? How's it going?
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Well, joining us, Mr. Brett Murdoch.
Hey, everybody.
Perfect timing. Adam Vale.
Shalom, Internet.
And Brian Munjoma.
I don't need a games journalist tell me what did and didn't work for Sekiro. Maybe that game was just not meant for you.
Maybe the game was just whack. Just whack. Just a whack game.
That's what she said to me, so...
That's it. That's what I'm saying.
Apparently, you saying that is not good.
Well, it is a little bit of a double standard. It's like, oh, these movies aren't for you. These comics aren't for you. Maybe Sekiro isn't for you. Come on, man. It's all the same, isn't it? Fucking crazy.
Right. Yeah, except for one group of people is allowed to have stuff for them, and another group of people isn't.
Well, yeah, it's a double standard shit, you know?
I mean, besides them, I saw all these comments from disabled gamers that were coming out saying some other shit that they were having issues with it.
Word, because I saw a video of a quadriplegic guy beating bosses in this game.
Well,
he didn't have any problems.
Yeah, I understand, but as you know, there's people with different disabilities. Everybody has something. I only have one eye, so everybody has something.
Yeah, like I said, man, not every game's for everybody, man. Just like not every book is for everybody, not every movie's for everybody, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You know.
Wait. So people can have their own taste, and it's okay for a company to try and accommodate a group of people with certain tastes instead of trying to accommodate everybody on the face of the planet.
I know that sounds like craziness, but yes.
You lost it, Tony. You've lost it.
Oh well, I'll go hang myself, or hang myself and burn myself simultaneously then. All right.
I mean, I'm not sure that's enough, but it'll do.
Yeah, just for starters, You
need to give it seppuku because of Sekiro.
Yeah, while I'm on fire, and beheading myself, everything at once, All right. Before we start, we got to get into it, man. This just happened now. Okay, so for you guys who know the old school, there was the game called Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for the Nintendo, right? Very popular game, but a couple years after its release, the titular character of Mike Tyson had to be removed because of him beating his wife and all this other crazy shit he was doing in the late 80s or early 90s, right? Okay, so that was 29 years ago, right? Apparently, Mike Tyson didn't get the memo. As you know, on the Nintendo Game Store, you know how they always have like the old games, they cycle them in and out. They're going to have Punch-Out on there, right? Mike Tyson's like, Mr. Dream, what the fuck is this shit? This is whack. You got to have Mike Tyson. And I'm like, bro, they took your ass out 29 years ago. You just learning this shit now? Come on, son.
It's like, yo, did you not realize that you were damaged goods? I mean, do you really? I mean, think about it. You have literally a accused wife beater, and accused wife beater and a convicted criminal, a rapist, on your cover. You really want that on a kid's thing?
Yeah, but I have to say one thing on his defense. It's just last year he was on, it was a Jimmy Fallon show playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and they had him play against himself. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure he probably thought, hey, well, I'm still in this game. You know what I mean? I just
for sure.
So he probably had no clue.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm definitely. But the thing is that like a lot of this, maybe it goes through a lot of this stuff. Maybe it was also probably done by his managers. Usually when they just don't, you get a check whenever you hand out your license, and obviously he probably doesn't understand that side of things.
That was different. Back in the day. It was probably like a one-time pay. They didn't even think of royalties.
No, they probably paid him for the job, and then paid him for his likeness for X amount of time, and then they just let it fall as soon as all that shit came out. So they just said, okay, let's reissue the game without him in it, and we don't need to pay this guy any more money.
I mean, in fairness, a couple of things, because I always have to be the contrarian here. One, we all still call it Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. In fairness, nobody calls it just Punch-Out.
Nobody calls it Mr. Dream's Punch-Out,
Yeah, like that's not a thing. So like, unless you've actually, and there are a lot of people, honestly, myself included, like I forgot about Mr. Dream. Like I forgot all about that.
I think.
Let him finish, man. Let him finish. Go ahead, Brett.
Oh, I think he can too. And honestly, the public, on the other hand, the public kind of forgets that kind of shit. Like, his career has been an upswing. He had a fucking show on an animated show on Cartoon Network. Like, he's kind of William Shatnered himself back in, and for the most part, he's in the public's good graces. So I'm sure to him, at least, it seems a little weird. But like, yeah, it was damaged goods 20 years ago. I've kind of recovered from that. I would have expected me to be in the re-release.
But
it's not. It's not a re-release.
Now let me insert something that we have talked about recently on this show. You obviously know how harsh Japanese culture is on criminal behavior. So, would they want to have a person who was a criminal, a convicted criminal, on the cover of their album, on the cover of their game?
Manny, to be fair, I don't think Mike Tyson's very well versed in Japanese law.
Oh. I know.
He was removed on the Wii version.
I'm talking about
the 3DS version.
I'm talking about reasoning for probably Nintendo not renewing any of this.
But this is again. None of this matters. You know what I mean?
It does matter.
He was removed on all the other platforms, so it's not we had him on the Wii U and we had him.
He was never on it.
Yeah, man. Exactly. By the way, you're 100% correct. Everything you're saying is just I don't think Mike Tyson understands.
No, Mike Tyson.
It's him. He's the thing.
There's two different. You know, when you're dealing with personalities or famous people, there's two different sides. There's the actual artist or the actual actor, and then there's their manager. And the manager is the guy that probably handles all those different things that the actor doesn't really see. It's like, hey, Mike, they want you to be in a game. All right, do it. That's it. That's all that happens. I'm sure after that, it was just like, all right, just let it roll. And he didn't know. It's not like he's getting a check. They're not like serving him a check every single day, I want to be like, yo, Mike, it's like, yo, Mike, did you realize you weren't getting a check from Nintendo?
Anymore. Took him so long ago. Every digital version has always been Mr. Dream.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's kind of funny though. Like that, it's just he just did not realize any of this stuff happened.
Well, that's what I'm talking about because it's just hilarious to me. I'm like, bro, where you been, man?
Yo, man, you're 30 years off, man.
But that's the reason why I brought up the whole Jimmy Fallon because that was only a year ago. So I'm sure in his mind, there is no other copy. It is that one. He was like, yo, I was just playing this shit. What do you mean I was taken out?
Yeah, he didn't realize he was playing an emulator.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, because it's not on a Nintendo. It's not a Nintendo Classic or anything like that.
No.
He was probably playing an emulator or an actual cartridge.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at Mike Tyson's Twitter. Somebody he retweeted this too. Mike Tyson. Don't forget Street Fighter's Mike Bison sounds an awful lot like Mike Tyson. Bro, really? You didn't realize that 30 fucking years later?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
See that he should have got a check for. Come on. Now.
Well, well, in Japan it's a different story though.
Yeah, Borlo.
Yeah, it's kind of a different sort of thing. That's why they only call him. The thing is that they don't even call him Mike Bison. Like officially, like he's always M Bison.
M Bison, even there, yeah.
Even in Japan, but the M standard for Mike.
Yeah, this is how misinformed Mike Tyson is. And by the way, I'm saying this fully aware that even at his age, he could beat the fuck out of me. You just got to get that out there. I heard Nintendo was doing the new Punch Out without even contacting me. Well, it's not a new Punch Out, bro.
It's not a new Punch Out, bud.
It won't be the same. My knockouts made the game. That's whack. Like,
oh my god, you kidding me?
He said
most people didn't even make the Mike Tyson. That's the funny thing.
Yeah,
it's funny. It's funny. There's been multiple multiple Punch Out games without him in it.
Yeah, does he not realize you don't play as him either?
No,
maybe he doesn't.
So, yeah, I posted in the chat of him playing it.
Yeah,
who really followed the Wii U?
What happened?
There was Punch Out on the Wii.
There was Punch Out on the Wii, yeah.
No, I know. I mean, that's my smart ass way of saying like the Switch is such a critical success that it's bled over into people. Like, I don't think it honestly has been a thing. Like, there's never been a point where like it wasn't a big thing whenever it was released for the Wii or the Wii U. Like, the Switch is such a critical success in the public that it's drawn the public eye, and that made him kind of look back at it and be like, wait, I'm not in this. Like, it's just that he didn't care about the other.
Wait, the Wii sold way more than the Switch. Yeah.
No, here's the difference. Somebody brought it to his attention. If you look on the page, you're like, hey, hey Mike, you realize that they're releasing?
They probably tagged him on it. Yeah.
They tagged him on. He's like, oh, word.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like how he says his punches made the more people are more familiar with King Hippo than Mike Tyson in that fucking game.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people did not make it to Mike Tyson in that
Nah,
game.
I only did it with a code. You know,
So it was
I
fucking
think most
hard.
people did it with a code.
exactly.
Mike Tyson was a
You know,
monster.
the
He
cool thing
was.
with this one is that since it's running through its emulator, it's gonna have save states. So if somebody gets to a certain part and it's like, all right, let me just save from here, I'll come back later. You can come back. There's a possibility that people will get to Mr. Dream.
Yeah, right.
But then
Oh,
again, there
man.
is that guy. Did you see the guy who beat it with his eyes closed and his back turned, and he beat all of Mike Tyson's punch out, even Mike Tyson?
Yet these guys
What?
can't. Yet these guys don't want to
Yeah.
play. Yet these guys say Sekiro is too hard. Come on, son.
But it's because it's knowing the moves and the sounds because it's all sound based.
Mhm.
So it would make little chimes. So then he knew when they were coming from the left or the right and what to do.
There was a little, yeah. There's a tell. You know,
Yeah, that's a tell for
everything.
all of it, and that's how he was able to do it. So he turned his back to CB, and there's a whole group of people watching him, and they filmed this and they posted it online, and he beat Mike Tyson's punch out the whole game with his back turned. He didn't even look at the screen.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. All right, man. That's a little intro there. Let's get into the show. Okay, we got to talk about this whole Anthem situation, man. So earlier this week, I believe it was on Tuesday, Jason Schreier did his thing and had this big expose about what really happened with the development of Anthem, and it was a fucking mess. So Chris, please tell us what the hell happened with this game.
Yeah. Well, first I got to give credit to him, man. That expose was huge.
Yeah.
It was long. He interviewed a ton of people. He followed up with a lot of guys. Some guys didn't get back to him, but he did his research. And let me be straight about this. This is an expose, not a hit piece.
Yeah, thank you.
He
Thank you.
he dug in, he talked to developers and producers, people who worked at BioWare, used to be there, and all the studios, and he got the dirt from them. That's not a hit piece. That's an expose. They're telling their story. So I just want to be clear on that. And so he goes into a lot of there's a ton of backstory on how Anthem started, and the project was called Dylan because they wanted it to be memorable, like Bob Dylan was for music. They wanted the game to be like that, and he goes, and this is back in 2012 when they were concepting and prototyping on the game. And so you had other things in full development, right? Like Mass Effect Andromeda, and I think Dragon Age Inquisition had come out just before they started working on this. And I noticed they highlighted in the article that game set a bad precedent because it was such a huge success, but the way it was developed uh, caused a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of a huge crunch time at the end. It came together in the last year. There's a phrase that's used in Bioware called Bioware magic, like, oh, don't worry, everything will coalesce and come together in the last year. But that usually comes with tons of crunch, people working nights and weekends, huge long shifts, and then people actually suffering breakdowns, like they can't handle the stress or they
They're
get upset.
soft. They're soft.
Yeah, they actually take medical leave for weeks to get over it, so that game set the precedent for like how things going forward were at BioWare. So Mass Effect Andromeda, I'm sure, suffered the same thing, although that had its own set of issues. And then when they went into Anthem, they were working on Anthem for 5 years before they put it in front of Patrick Soderlund, and he hated it. Right, so they had been iterating, and they pulled flying out, and they put it back, and they did all this stuff, and basically EA had put all this money in it, and they was like, so show me a demo. Showed him a demo. He hated it, and then they had to actually go to DICE, get help because they were using Frostbite, and Frostbite was not built to do any of the stuff they wanted to do. They want to do an online shooter. They want big open world. They needed loot. They needed guns. Like they needed a third-person camera. They need all this stuff that it didn't do because it's built for Battlefield. They had to make tools and extend it to do this. So they were fighting with the engine. They were fighting with a lot of decision paralysis. There was a lot of internal fighting. Um, and there was a part in the story that was super interesting. So oftentimes we outside will go, oh, they joke around. They put the B team on this game. to put the C team on this game, or the A team worked on this game. Apparently, that is how BioWare looked at itself. So the Edmonton studio, the original BioWare, considered themselves the A team, and they were the idea people, right? Everything had to be the way they wanted it. So then you had BioWare Austin, that was considered the B team, the guys who made Star Wars: The Old Republic, and then there was Montreal, and that was the C team. So Montreal's gone now.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, Bioware Austin, when they got pulled into, after they were done with DLC content for Inquisition and whatever they did for Andromeda, they were pulled into Anthem. And they said, hey guys, you're making an online game. We made an online game. This is what we did for Star Wars: Old Republic. These are the learnings we took here. And they gave it to them. And Edmonton went, oh, we don't care. You need to do A, B, C, and D and get it done. So they completely didn't listen to them. There was a hierarchy, and that caused a lot of tension because you had one studio that never made an online game, which was Edmonton, and they considered themselves the top tier. So they were like, we know what we're doing. Then you had guys in Austin who actually built an online game who are not being listened to. So that created a whole other bevy of issues. And then what we saw at E3, what they demoed for Patrick Sullivan again, was just to really make him happy. And then that didn't even become the final game because everything got whittled down because they had to fight the engine. They had a lot of decision paralysis. A lot of stuff was being rewritten from scratch. And then so all that boiled down to the end where they and these old school guys in there and these execs kept talking about Bioware magic. That, oh, don't worry, as long as we keep crunching on the game, it's all going to coalesce and come together at the end. Except you're making an online looter shooter that you have no idea what you're doing. And then so they had all this stuff. You had a ton of guys who made an RPG who never modeled a gun, and they didn't know how to vary the loot. And then another thing, which was crazy to me, is they weren't allowed to talk about Destiny. And they're basically making Destiny, but they weren't internally allowed to mention anything that Bungie had done with Destiny. They were only allowed to compare the game to Diablo 3, which blows my mind.
Jesus Christ. And didn't you say they also couldn't talk about the Division either?
Yes, they couldn't talk about the Division either. So two looter shooters that had tons of learnings. You had Ubisoft doing one, you had Bungie doing the other one. That they had, oh, okay, these guys implemented this. They have variety of guns. They have all this loot. They have all this stuff. Nope, couldn't talk about it. Especially not Destiny. They were like, no, we're not Destiny. Even though it's like, motherfuckers, you are Destiny. That's exactly what you do, except you can fly. So all that mixed together is like, what he did, this is this is like behind the curtain, right? This is all inside baseball stuff that you're like, why is Anthem such a mess? Like people see it or whatever, and I know Brett loves it, and other I'm sure other people do love it, but the shortcomings are there, and you're wondering why. Wow, this game has been in development for like 7 years. So what the fuck happened? This is what happened. This article, I encourage everyone to read it. It's like, this is some sad stuff when you read it. Like, the BioWare is a beloved developer. I love Mass Effect, and this sounds like a fall from grace. They were talking about people leaving in droves. They were losing lead developers. They were losing designers. They were losing writers. All this stuff, all stress over this game.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
hold on, couple of things. From the article I read. Okay, apparently, yeah, the game's been in development for 7 years, but it didn't really go into the development until the last 18 months. I thought that was crazy. And then the name, right? It wasn't called Anthem until E3 2017. Before that, it was called Beyond, right? Beyond the Stars, all that. Then they decided we're gonna call it Anthem, and even the team making the game were like, the fuck does Anthem mean? Even the people making the game didn't know what the hell that meant. They're like, the fuck does that mean? And the event, they eventually came up with a reason what Anthem stands for, but they were like, what the fuck? So it just shows you. Then this whole thing, it's funny, because we're comparing the game kind of mechanically to Destiny. Destiny had these same problems internally too, where they had to gut the story, where the game didn't really start being in development until a final year. It's kind of interesting how both these looters face the exact same issues. Manny, go ahead.
I mean, I totally forgot what I was going to say. So
yeah, but yeah, it's wild, man. And then the whole thing with they couldn't mention they couldn't mention Destiny, they couldn't mention Division. That sounds like Nintendo shit, where they couldn't mention the competition. Chris, you worked at Nintendo, you had to deal with that shit firsthand.
Absolutely. Like, we weren't in strategy meetings or whatever, and especially when we talked about online, I bring up Xbox Live, what they were doing, and bring up PSN. I bring up stuff that was going on the Vita or the PSP at the time. No, we weren't allowed to talk. I would get comments like, "Why are you even mentioning that?" Like, I'm like, motherfuckers, they're doing it. What you're talking about is being done. It would drive me crazy. But that internal attitude, that's the same shit that Bioware was suffering with. Like, oh no, you don't talk about Destiny. Well, you are making Destiny. You're just making your version of it.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
to be honest, it's like that's fooling yourself to pretend that you're not doing. You're essentially just doing the same thing. That's what iteration, part of iteration and competition works. It's like you do see what the competition is doing, and then what you do is you expand on it or make it better or do something, change. Like, okay, we're not going to go left, we're going to go right. Do those sorts of decisions.
I think sometimes the higher ups feel that if they do that, if they start looking at it's going to influence their project.
It's
see it with writers
it's already
all the
influenced.
time.
The problem is it's already influenced.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but it still happens. We see it musicians. Oh, I don't listen to any other music because I don't want any of that to just, subconsciously just seep into mine. You see it with writers. You see it with all kinds of, when I worked at that magazine, the publisher, when they were like, oh, we're going to add a catalog part to this. I was like, we shouldn't be doing that if we're adding for advertisers. He didn't give a shit. He didn't want to know how things were done, and it's sad, but that's the way the world is. There are some people that just follow their own.
It's usually people at the top that make try to make these sorts of like I'm not listening decisions, which also turn out to be stupid decisions. You do have to acknowledge that there is a world out there. Granted, you don't need to acknowledge that there's competition when you're talking about the things. Like you can't, you're promoting a game. You're like, hey, we're out like Destiny. It's like, no. Don't even make believe like they're, like it's like the WWF. When one of the wrestlers go to the other company.
As if it never.
It's like they never existed. You know what I mean?
Don't acknowledge it.
They don't acknowledge it. So you don't acknowledge it publicly, but in the background, you use those things as a stepping stone. It's like, okay, what can we do better than Destiny and the Division to get over this? And the one thing about, I'm going to say this about industry in general. This is not just the game industry that this sort of environment exists in. It exists in almost every single bit of entertainment that you absorb as a person.
Yeah.
Just work in general.
This goes for animation. This goes for comic books. This goes for everything under the sun.
Yeah. Well, it's endemic in entertainment because I've seen this. Like, I've worked in television. I've worked in video games. Like when the article described like seeing people just constantly angry or sad or just crestfallen all the time. Like I've seen that. So these like these crunch cycles and whatever, it starts wearing on people. The decision paralysis, the constantly shifting focus. People get attached to one thing. It's like, throw it all out. We got to do this now. It just wears on you.
Yeah, it definitely does. And it's not. I can't say that I've experienced the extent of something like that working in the game industry, but I've gotten, at least in my time in animation and even in comics, I've gotten very close.
But Manny, you've had times where you've had to work long hours. You've had to come in on weekends for projects that get done. You had deadlines. I mean, that's part of this shit too.
Well, no, it's not. It's officially, it shouldn't be part of the thing because
but it is
officially when I for some, I don't know how their departments work, but at least on the shows and things that I've worked on, there is no overtime for the work.
No. Now we're not talking about overtime. We're talking about deadlines and having to get it done.
Yeah, there is the time to get it done, but the thing
we're not getting paid for this.
But the thing is, at the same time, you're not, we're not, coming in at the end when, and just everybody, usually you're not figuring out all this stuff at the end of the process. You already know, especially when it comes to film, when it comes to animation, everybody knows the road that you need to go. There's no coming in at the end and saying, okay, we're going to totally rewrite everything and then animate it all at the end. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and there was another thing interesting too in here that they said early on in the process when they were trying to get support from Frostbite the Frostbite support team is DICE, right? And DICE is in Sweden. So EA prioritized DICE's support to only be for the biggest selling games. Basically, the FIFA, all the EA Sports guys, FIFA guys, whatever, they got priority, and Battlefront, they got priority, and the Anthem guys could not get timely support from Frostbite. Not until Patrick Soderlund played the game, got pissed off, and then flew some of them over there, and then they got priority support because they're like, "Hey, we're fighting this engine. We don't get the help we need." And it's funny because that reminds me of how Nintendo. I don't know if Nintendo is still this way. I don't think so, but they used to be where first-party developers got support, but third-party developers, especially Western developers, they would wait weeks for help from Nintendo. With anything system wide, with the dev kits and whatever, they would wait forever. So that reminds me of that, and that's sad because that holds up the whole process. Like you're all working for the same company, the same team, but you can't get the same help, for your project.
Yeah, I want to quickly read some comments from Pixel Metal, a friend of mine from Twitter. We've actually had on Throwdown before. He's a game developer himself. So let me read some of his comments. He goes, "The issue is not the engine. Anthem is a mess because of indecision at a corporate level. We're not disagreeing with that. Although the engine, we'll get to that." He goes, "The issue isn't the engine, but I think you're right on it. Being a game genre outside of their wheelhouse. Saying there's a learning curve in using a new engine, it's like saying the sky is blue. There's no revelations in the article."
As a game developer, as a person in the industry, a lot of these things don't sound far fetched. We've, me and Chris have seen these sorts of things. I'm sure Brian has seen it in the industry. I'm sure also a lot of us have seen these sorts of things. Adam, I'm definitely sure you've seen it too. It's like these accounts. The fact is, these are all things that we see internally, and a lot of this stuff doesn't get put out onto the table most of the time. Most of the people just kind of suffer in silence, and then they just move on to the next job, or they don't work anymore. They stop.
Yeah, Brett, go ahead. Mr. Brett.
I forget.
Oh no!
People just rage quit. Remember? All right, so man, remember that? Well, remember Malik, my buddy Malik. I met him because when I was working at a magazine, I'm not going to mention, our illustrator had a nervous breakdown like this. Says she's going to be right back. She's going out for a smoke break and never fucking came back. And now it's it. She just disappeared, and we were like 2-3 weeks before we had to publish.
Well, that's what happened. That's what happened with Anthem. People take leave, and they would never come.
They just don't come back. She just said, "Fuck this shit." And
I met the
in certain spots, it always starts at the higher up because higher ups are the ones that set the markers and the standards of what they want. But man, that stress is real. That stress shit happens.
I always joke and make a sort of joke. Especially working in animation and comics and all that stuff. If people only knew the amount of insanity that you need to go through to just get something out there, you would probably not want to do it. If everybody knew exactly what it was like to go into these sorts of industries and knew every single nuance of it, you would probably not buy another product ever again.
I think that goes for a lot of things, though.
Yeah, it does. It goes for a lot of things.
People are like, "Oh, that guy drives a forklift. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing." Like, yeah, no, like actually he does. There's a lot of trade. Like, I can't tell you how many people think that they can do my job. Oh my god, everybody thinks they can do it. Give me a foot pedal and tattoo machine. I will blow your mind, motherfucker. You will not.
But I mean, the thing is that, like, when you go out to buy a product, you're not gonna, you're not gonna. They're not gonna advertise like, many Bothams died to make this product. You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
They're not gonna do that because that would
You tell them, you're like, and they still don't get it. You're like, this is going to be harder than you've ever done. This is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. You will want to quit. You will get to a point when you're like, why am I doing this? Life doesn't make sense. I just want to swing from the rafters. And all you could do is hope that I know what the fuck I'm doing and trust in me. And still, apprentice retention is maybe 10%. Maybe.
And not to mention, these talk about the engine, them having issues with the engine in BioWare. This is not new news either.
Remember, Frostbite engine's been giving everybody problems, man. Frostbite, except for Dice, obviously.
Remember, the BioWare did talk about that last Dragon Age game and them having so many issues on making that game. with the
Yeah.
Frostbite engine.
Yeah, because Frostbite
Well,
was made.
it's the same problem.
Yeah, it was originally made to be a shooting engine, FPS, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So they're trying to bring that to an RPG. Is going to be a little
Yeah.
weird, you know?
I don't
Yeah,
even know why they chose to do that.
well, no,
It's
no,
EA,
that
it's
was
EA,
that
that's
was a
EA.
company.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
EA.
a directive from EA that they needed to be all on their own engine.
Yeah,
So
but
they
because
chose
because they don't number one, they don't want to pay. They probably don't want to pay for the development of a new engine or an in-house engine from a studio. They probably don't want to hire license Unreal or any of the other engines out there.
Yeah, think
So
about it.
they're
The first 3 Mass Effect games are all on Unreal.
Unreal.
And then they made them. Oh no, you're in Dragon Age, I believe. They're Unreal as well. Nope, you're all on fucking Frostbite now. You know?
Yeah, because they didn't want to pay Epic
Epic,
licensing feed.
I don't think people realize how big a deal that is. Like, I
It's
don't
a
think
huge
people,
deal.
Like,
Yeah.
well, people hear engine and they think like, oh, it's the thing that the game runs on. Like, no, it's the development tools that they need. Like, Manny, let me ask you, if I said I want you to keep the same pace on the comic book work that you're doing, but I don't want you to use Photoshop. I want you to use a program that you've never fucking heard of before. But don't fall behind on your deadline.
Yeah, that's it, and yeah, that's exactly what I'm sure it was like. I mean, you're literally learning the new thing while you're actually developing it, and then you're also not getting support from the actual people on what things that you need. That doesn't help. I mean, to be honest, the best thing for them to do would have probably have been to make another product with that engine, maybe a smaller product, and then have that so that they had the training as to how they could use this thing.
And also, when you hear all the things that were missing from the engine that they had to figure out. So in Dragon Age, they had to figure out how to make it third person because it was made for Battlefield, right?
Yeah.
So the camera never panned out from the character. There's no character, right? So they had to make all that shit, and Frostbite couldn't do it. They had to figure it out. And then when they get to Anthem, they're like, well, this isn't meant to be always online, even though it had a multiplayer component. It's like, we have a online only thing, and we have no competent save load system in this engine. They had to figure that out.
Wow.
I don't understand why they didn't build off, like, I keep hearing people like, they don't have any experience in these kinds of games. Like, they made the Old Republic.
Well,
No,
that was
I-
not that specific.
That was not
studio.
that engine, yeah.
Yeah, and I explained that EA Austin was BioWare Austin was considered a B team. They gave their learnings to Edmonton, and they said, "That's nice. We don't care. You're gonna do it this way."
Wow.
So there's a pecking order, and yeah, they did do the Old Republic. Edmonton didn't give a shit.
Yes, man. What a mess.
It's like a mixture. It's a mixture of hubris. And it's a mixture of the company. EA's pushing. It's a mixture of a whole bunch. It's a powder keg, literally, of all these kind of shitty things happening all at the same time. And then there's this. Then there sounds like there's this false, thing where it's like, oh yeah, well the BioWare magic or whatever.
BioWare magic.
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
Voodoo.
Magic. Yeah, voodoo, right? Fucking
Got that voodoo.
sprinkle that shit in there, you know?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because obviously not only hearing this, people will not, you gotta realize like news like this not only releasing this news not only affects it also affects the sales on the game too. You could affect the public opinion, and that probably will screw this game even more over than it already was, which kind of stinks. Because it's like, oh, now people already know, everybody knows how the cake was made and what how much went into it and what how many fails there are and how many people got destroyed from it.
Yeah,
Everything got. What did it cost you? What did it cost to make this game, Manny?
What did it cost?
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. There's a couple other things I want to touch on this, but Brett, what are your thoughts on this report? As a I'm not gonna say like a fan of Anthem, but you enjoy the game enough, So what do you make of all this?
Honestly, dude, it's the flying mechanics. I've said this over and over again. Like, I like DC Universe 2. That game was hot trash. Like, let's fucking be honest. That game was hot trash, but it was super fun to fly around.
By the way, what do you think about the fact that the flying mechanic was added in last minute too?
Yeah.
I think that's the single thing that may have saved the game.
Jesus.
And like, okay, to be honest, without it, it's just Destiny. Like, we all realize that BioWare completely dropped the ball on being able to do Like they're like you would see them trying in the main base, like Fort Tarsus, like kind of changes around, and you can talk to people, and there's some story. And I'll grant you, it has the most cohesive and interesting and compelling story of any looter shooter I have ever played. What that means is I know that there's a story there, and I recognize some characters. Other than that, I don't fucking know. No, most of the time, looter shooters are like, I don't know. There's the guy at the hordes. He always stands. He's the guy that gives you the loot. Who is he? I don't fucking know. He's the guy that gives you the loot. So they did kind of succeed in what they were planning, but it was more of a whimper than a bang. And my whole thing in hearing a lot of this is honestly just it's shocking how unsurprising it is. All I heard was corporate bullshit, yada yada yada. EA pissed in their Cheerios, yada yada yada. A bunch of people's lives got fucked over, and I'm like, yeah, I mean that sounds like it just sounds it's almost been normalized to me. Like I was almost having trouble thinking. I was like, yeah, I mean that's kind of be expected. That's what we all thought. Like there's nothing shocking about this, and there should be.
The best is the follow-up that he posted today. Jason Schreier said that some other people came out from other developers, and he said, hey, replace the Bioware name and put our company name in. It's the same shit.
Yeah, well,
this is just the way it is.
The culture of crunch is pervasive. I mean, we were talking about this with Rockstar. Remember the thing that Dan Houser said that blew up 100-hour weeks and whatever, and that shit blew up. But the culture of crunch is a huge problem
But don't you feel like it's just like you said, it's a culture thing? Because back in the day, it was like a badge of honor to work hard on a project. Live for something, die for nothing.
Well, there's a difference between working hard and then telling people they can't go home because this shit has to get done.
Hey, they did it for the Brooklyn Bridge. We wouldn't have the bridge if everybody went home. Yeah, even the Rollins died from a.
But also,
I agree with Adam.
Older things too is like people used to make decisions on things, and the problem with the culture of crunch is it comes from iteration and decision paralysis, right? When people make a product, the product keeps evolving and changing, and nobody makes final decisions on shit. So then when you get to the end, when it's like, we got to release something, oh my God, then everything compresses into the end. So you have this huge time compression that comes down, and that's when the crunch happens, and that's bad. Back in the day, you badge out, you go, we're doing A, B, C, and D, let's get it done, and you love what you were doing, and you do it, right?
Yeah, but you get
everything spread out. You never had that time compression because people made decisions on
but
things,
unexpected things always come up. No matter what project, there's always something didn't work right, something doesn't fit right, the project messed up. But that's what I'm saying. We're gonna hear that from other people from other departments. It's gonna happen. Like they said, there was like hundreds of people working on this. Oh, we had this crunch. Why did this suck? And then I'm sure that somebody will come and like, my department fucked up. And we told higher ups, and then higher ups, well, now we got to crunch to get this. Everybody on deck, we got to fix this fucking problem. There's always a reason. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, this is the way it is everywhere, but it has to get done because there's money involved. Whenever there's a big amount of money, let's say with the marketing and the publishing and all that stuff, it's like, hey, now we have to, it's not even about the fans. It's about hitting these deadlines to go to marketing, to go to print, to go to the factories. If we don't hit this, we lose all this money. Those factories, those deliveries, they all have other projects. They have other things they have to do.
Well,
so if they want to press our...
Real quick, if I could, you guys are talking about two separate things. Chris, you're talking about when somebody fucks up and drops the ball, causing everybody to go into crunch time compression, and the abuse of that in corporate culture. Yeah. Totally get that. I agree with that. Adam is talking about, and something that I believe in, a mindset where you work until the work is done. And it doesn't matter when you get to that place, whether somebody in marketing fucked up, you still have to crunch to do
it. That's it. It just happens.
So there are two different occasions.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm saying that the multiple factors in this case, this is why this story is so compelling. That's why we understand it so well, is that it's not just somebody fucked up in decision making causing time compression. There's also directives to use this engine, which was untenable in the beginning and took tons of support and time to get it to do what they needed it to do. And they still had to make tons of compromises where they could have used something like Unreal and made it, that would have made the development so much faster. It's all those things compiled together that makes the crunch untenable. That's what is driving people crazy and away from.
Well, it was mismanaged into the ground. And I absolutely agree with that. Like, you can't push unrealistic expectations onto your development team at the last minute. Like, but again, I look at that from an administrative point of view, right? Like somebody in there, some manager, somebody's head, if I were up in that company, their head would be fucking rolling, because your job as an administrative role in any business is to make sure that that machine keeps running smoothly. From everything that I'm hearing, middle management just fucked right off, and upper management didn't know their ass from a hole in the ground. And that's where all of these problems happen, because when you don't have an administrative team that is able to put boots on the ground and understand the scope, scale, and intent of the project, these are the kind of stupid decisions you're going to make. They need to stop hiring out of corporate culture and need to start promoting people with good administrative skills from their interior teams. They need managers who used to be developers. They need to start doing that. They're bringing in too much side shit, and nobody knows what the fuck is going on. You can't put a team or somebody in charge of a team of artists if they don't understand the art. I mean,
well, like we were saying before with the engines, it's like they're like, oh, we have our own engine. Why do we have to lease another one? You know what? Just freaking work on this shit. All right, next. We just saved a lot of money. See,
that's a lot of TV and film, by the way, Brett. There are a lot of people that work in the industry that don't know an inkling about how the process works. They just know how to point you to a direction and tell you finish by then.
Dude, and that's what I'm saying. Like, those people are leeches, and for some reason, not just our entire culture. There's an entire group. There's an entire system for them. There's an entire slice for these people who just sit around with no talent and no understanding, and they're not even good at actually managing people.
And those other people that fail their way upward,
they're also the same folks that fail upward. They're the ones that are like, because they just so happen to be in front of a really, really good team that was able to do the job, even despite them losing a bunch of their people and all this other storing into 1,000 hours of crunch, but they managed to get it done on time. And obviously, and then if it hits well, then they look good. Oh, hey, your team did a great job. You did a great job. No, you were just pointing in a direction and said, hey, yeah, finish then. I don't care how you do it.
So
what more people at it.
What I'm hearing is their assets as a company are fucking gold. They're sitting on a mountain of talent. They should be spinning fucking gold. But their mismanagement, their inability to be able to tell what they're right, they are bloated to the point where they can't function anymore. And that's the big, we've all seen it coming, but like at this point, EA has turned into like full on end of movie Tetsuo, just fucking this weird giant amalgamation. It can't fucking do anything right. It doesn't know what the left half is doing. It may be turning into a giraffe for all it fucking knows. Like EA doesn't understand anymore. It's gotten too big, and we're all seeing the consequence of that. And you wonder, like, where's all the money going into this? Like,
it's going to Apex.
Well, yeah, dude, no. When the money goes into the company too, like even like the very top people are getting it, and I don't understand how you can have access to so much talent and so much drive and so many resources and still fuck them all up, because the fact that they brought this game out in any workable state doesn't show the talent or perseverance of anybody at the top of the chain. It shows how hard the workers are. It shows how good the artists are. It shows how good the programmers are. That they were handed a mountain of trash.
Like, still made a generally functioning game out of it. You know?
Exactly. Like,
but here's the thing: nobody ever looks at that, and everybody, obviously, as a consumer, nobody ever looks at that sort of thing. It's like, hey, they had all these thousands of hours of doing this. Man, I'm surprised they even made a game. That's most projects out there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, that's honestly, I think that's why I'm more charitable towards games than other people. I'm like, dude, it's a work of art. Like, it is. People have tried. It's an effort. It's not the dream. Everything. No matter how polished a game you play, if there's something wrong with it, you need to remind yourself, human beings made this. A bunch of people sat around on computers and dreamed this shit up. There's no like fucking button that you press that says make game and the universe just shits out a game. This is an effort that is so close and so polished and so professional that most of the time you forget that somebody even made it. That somebody rendered every single asset there. I'm the asshole that'll stand next to a wall just so I can zoom in and marvel at the texture on Spider-Man's costume because somebody rendered the fuck out of that shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's also. I mean, the thing is, there's that one thing in life, in our whole lives. It's like every single thing that exists right now was designed and created by somebody. You don't know who those people are, but somebody did make it. and it took them. You don't know how many hours it took for them. You don't know how much crunch they had to do it. But somebody did do it, and I think that's one of the things that everybody kind of sort of forgets about whenever something exists in the world. It's art from the void. It's art or something that just exists, and there's no personality or humanity attached to it.
Yeah. All right. Any last thoughts on this? I'm looking.
I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Unless Brian wants to jump
Yeah,
in.
Brian. I got something to say.
Something. He'll come in a minute.
Yeah.
So I think the
I
thing
got
that
nothing.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure he'll have something about our next topic. Anyway, go ahead, Brett. Close us off.
So we've all kind of seen this coming, and I think this is just proof positive that, despite having adequate resources and a very talented team, that they are grossly incompetent and mismanaging their projects to the point where they're delivering mediocre end results. This has been a clear and steady trend for years now, and I think we're finally hitting critical mass. Like, with EA dominating the landscape and the companies like EA dominating the landscape, are we just looking at a dystopian gamer future where middlemen come in and suck out all of the value in game, and artists are stuck on the bottom trying to spin gold and ending up with a mediocre product? Like, are we always going to have bad games? Like, what is the answer to this?
The answer's got to make smaller budget games, because that's the thing. When you have so many shareholders and you're putting millions and millions of dollars, they're going to try to cut costs any way they can to get more profit.
well, I think,
And they're going to crack that whip.
Well, their house has to be not silly directives like, oh, we have to use this engine. Sometimes you have to spend money to make money.
Yeah.
License Unreal so people's lives are better. You know what? Apex Legends isn't even running on Frostbite.
And
How
that's
about
the
that?
thing. But then there's always going to be somebody that's on the board. It's like, hey, but then why did we invest all this money on our own engine? Why did we do that?
Right. Well, called it. The engine's meant to do one thing. It's meant to make first-person shooters like Battlefield. That's what it was meant to do.
By the way, quick comment here from Pixel Metal. Again, a game developer himself. There's little difference between Unreal and Frostbite. It's amazing how misinformed the general gamer consumer is.
There you go. See, so then that's probably what they said. It was like, it's not much different. Can we tweak it? Yeah, I guess. All right, so make it so. That's it.
Well, but now we've had 3 games in a row that they said that they had problems with.
Then it's not working. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really subscribe to that, because not every tool is created equal, right? So the fact that these guys are having so many problems with Frostbite, you can't tell me all these people are misinformed, that Unreal wouldn't be a better solution for them, when Unreal has all this support and all this learnings, and it's been used by tons of companies, including EA, before they had the Frostbite directive. So you're telling me that somehow Unreal would present just as many problems? I doubt that. I highly doubt that.
I have a question for Adam. How are the FIFA games? Because I know they're running Unreal. Sorry,
they're fine. It's just the same. I mean, we don't need yearly iterations of it. It's pretty much just roster updates, and every once in a while they do some little tweaks. That's why they incorporated the story. The story is fine. That's where the Frostbite's really going into. They keep saying, "Oh, it's a collision system. We added the collision system." All right, whatever. But it looks just like the ones before Frostbite. It's pretty. It's definitely prettier, but again, things have changed, so everything is in 1080p and at 4K. So, but no, it's just something that they're building on. They do it for all their sport games.
And to be honest, they had the most support because they make the most money. That's when they were talking about when you bought in that article. Yeah. So it's like,
yeah.
I mean,
big license.
Here is the interesting thing about it's like, this is, what is this, the second or third thing that strike against EA on a big title that they've released.
Wait,
yeah, it is. Yeah,
this year or ever?
No, we're talking about three. No, I'm talking about 3 consecutive titles. Yes, Battlefield 2, Battlefront 2, Battlefield 5, and now Anthem. So yeah, 3 consecutive.
Three consecutive.
Hold on, wait. No, we have to. I'm sorry, we have to throw Mass Effect in there. That's 4.
Andromeda.
Yeah. Mass Effect Andromeda. Yeah. So there's 4 things that they've had issues over
in a row.
which it sounds definitely like there needs to be, a shakeup that needs to happen within EA itself.
Man,
People left too. People from the higher ups, they left.
They're gonna win that award. I'm telling you, worst company in America. They're gonna win that shit again.
You're telling me supposedly one of the biggest companies out there has literally had in a row had essentially 4 separate games from pretty big franchises. Well, except for Anthem, which is a new one, with two big franchises, and then there's one big big game, and they all floundered. Very interesting.
Yeah,
that's gotta hurt. How are EA stocks doing? Does anybody know? I'm looking at you, Chris.
Everyone's looking at Chris.
Well, it was tanking the last time I checked. I haven't checked lately. Yeah, give me a minute. I'll go.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
It was tanking, and then Apex came out.
Yeah. Then went up.
I think the one thing about I don't know how long it took them to develop Apex. But I definitely think that is that company, the guy that made Titanfall are, pretty good at making those kind of, jump in there sort of, quick sort of, not quick, but like those sorts of those small development time sorts of games.
Maybe the simplest game possible.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's like they that's kind of what they were doing with Titanfall, where they were essentially just providing you a really good functioning game, game engine, not game engine, but like mechanics, great mechanics, and then just like saying, okay, we don't need to worry about any of that silly story stuff. Let's just throw this game that has really good mechanics out, and then just let everybody. We'll put in stuff later to fill things out.
Yeah, what's going on, Glorious War? Destiny had issues with their own engine as well. Apparently, it took 24 hours to make a single change in the engine. Brutal. All right, let's move on because we still got a couple of things to talk about. Most of these are about the Epic Store. Okay, so Borderlands 3 is gonna be an Epic Store exclusive, people, and Steam guys are not happy about this. A 6-month exclusive, by the way, just in case you thought it was like a permit. No, it's only 6 months. Steam guys are not happy about that. They're so unhappy. They're actually going back to the older Borderlands games and review bombing them to hell. Yeah, because that's going to help things.
That's stupid.
Actually, it really does.
How? Because to me, that sounds like the dumbest thing ever.
Developers really, dude, your Steam score, your Steam game score, is pretty critically important. And like, if people start getting review bombs, you see developers jump in there pretty fast to start doing damage control, and usually some pretty.
But if they know the reason the review bomb is coming, can't they say like that shit don't count? Can't they just do that? Because the reason is pretty fucking petty, Dude,
that's like saying, if I went to if 10,000 people went to Metacritic and gave a negative score to a movie and put because fuck you, the Metascore would still drop.
Or they could just change it like Rotten Tomatoes did, like Rotten Tomatoes did with Captain Marvel. No, but like the thing is, why the scores are going down. They're not going down for a legitimate reason. They're going down for some bullshit. So they could easily be like, yeah, fuck that shit.
You know what? Until we have a tool to rate developers, this is the best we fucking have.
Yeah.
And you know what? Man. I honestly don't necessarily disagree. If they're gonna do shitty to some to you, like hit them where it fucking hurts. They have not given anybody any less option. I'm not saying that it's a great thing to do, but and a lot of times in these reviews they won't say because fuck you. They will clearly state the reason, like, I love Borderlands 2. I've given a negative review because of the attitude of the developers and their exclusive blah 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 on Borderlands 3. I no longer support this developer, and therefore I cannot support this game in good conscience. That is it's not so much like a whine, cry, throw a tantrum. It's one of those a lot of and it's weird because it's more so on the PC side. Like they're very developer centric, and because games don't fade away on PC the way they do on consoles, like a reputation matters. So like to a PC gamer, Borderlands 2 is still kind of as relevant as Borderlands 3. So if they're unhappy with the developer and what they're doing, they're gonna do everything they can to show the unhappiness for the developer.
I don't know, man. It still sounds like fucking bullshit. Like, really, this is what you're getting. And I need to go off on a rant right now. I can do this on Twitter. I just find it funny. Like, for us console gamers, we've bought multiple systems for fucking decades. We understand how competition works, right? Now these the supposed master race are getting their panties in a bunch because they have to open up a different app to play their games. It just sounds so fucking. I'm not done yet, motherfucker.
It's not
No,
that.
no,
It's
I'm
not
not.
that.
Hey, whoa. Listen, I give you guys all the fucking time in the world to talk. Let me fucking talk, all right? Thank you. All right, so I just find
I
it
didn't
so
say
funny.
anything.
Yeah, you
Damn,
did. You were
damn.
stopping me, so I just find
I'm
it very
stopping
funny.
you now because
I just
that's
find it
not
funny
right.
that these fucking idiots are out there like.
It's like
You're generalizing.
Oh,
You can't
yeah.
generalize like that.
So let me fucking generalize then. Then I'll let you
No,
generalize.
don't do that. Come on
Come
now.
on. So
That's-
no,
that's
it's
petty.
bullshit.
That's petty.
Yeah, it's bullshit. No, it's fucking bullshit. Open up
Nah,
a
man.
Let him go. Let him go.
You open up a different fucking app and you play it on your same computer. No one's asking you to buy another fucking computer. It's still the same fucking computer you always use. It's
not
so stupid.
not to
you know?
mention
Oh no, I was done.
not to mention that I mean the thing is that it is something that will be released on the other the other
Ooh,
thing,
and it's coming in 6 fucking months.
it's coming in
So
6
wait,
it's also coming in
you
6
know?
months. But I mean the thing is, I would like to bring up something about this, like why can't there be some sort of competition within the
There is.
You
There's
know,
tons.
we
This
always
isn't
said
new.
competition is a
This
good
isn't
thing.
new.
Steam
Every
is
damn
aggregate.
EA has
It
one.
is-
Ubisoft
it is-
has one. Everybody has
am
one.
gonna
Dog
say-
is out.
Can I finish?
Oh
Thank
boy,
you.
forget it. I'm not gonna say anything.
No, I'm gonna say it, like yes,
Say
Let
it,
him
say
finish,
it,
and then-
say it.
it's obvious that Epic is playing hardball. They are trying to legitimately give Steam something to actually strive to be honest. Think about it. If you're locking down a couple of these games, that would totally mean that people would come over to your service or whatever, your store. And the thing is, that'll also mean that Steam will be able to up their game on their side. Think about this. They could put, okay, now we're talking about platform exclusives, right? Friggin' Valve can literally just be like, just do an instant drop, mic drop with all this. And you want to know what that is? They all begin with 3.
Yep.
Portal
Manny,
3.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Portal 3, Half-Life 3, Dota 3,
Left 4
Team
Dead.
Fortress 3.
Yep.
They can literally drop all those different games and say, bam, exclusive to Steam.
And that would
Manny,
ruin the PC market.
Wait,
And that would be
But those
fantastic.
games are not going to be
Right.
on.
Yeah.
But those games. But the funny thing is that those games are already exclusive, right? You don't see Dota's not on Epic Game Store. Neither is a lot of those games on there.
That's the point, man.
Well,
Like, that's what you
the
guys
Manny,
are.
like, then you are advocating that Valve just use their cash to say, hey, you know what, we'll just lock down everything to our platform.
They can
hence
do.
Yeah,
end the
they should
competition.
do that. You want to make competition? Then you
No,
should do
yeah.
that.
No,
You
that,
know?
no.
We've always talked about how
Under that,
how-
you're understanding. Like, they will end the competition because they have that much money to throw around. Like,
Yeah.
they will stop any competition. And you're advocating
That's
for
it.
So
that.
they're
You
gonna
put an
stop.
end.
They're gonna stop Epic Games because last time I
Yeah.
checked, Steam doesn't have Fortnite. Epic Store
Yeah,
ain't going
and-
anywhere.
You're
You
not.
It's Valve. They have stupid amounts of money. They probably have like a sim level to Epic, and hence then you say, okay, cool, you know what, we'll just outbid them for everything now. Because we have the install base, we can do that.
Yeah.
And then
Also-
they'll end every other type of competition, and hence there won't be any.
But you guys are
Like,
already
you're literally
complaining about the competition.
You're literally advocating for the end of competition by saying that. Because
No,
that's exactly what Epic
because
is
the thing-
doing.
I
People
mean,
are saying like, hey,
are
you
you
know
saying
what,
that, are you
don't buy
saying that
this.
Valve can Valve can instantly
No,
lock
no.
down everything? I don't think so, dude.
I don't think
Yeah,
so
they
either.
can. They have the money. That's the thing.
No,
Like,
I think
Microsoft
look
has
at what
the
their
money
install
too,
base is
you
doing
know?
right now. That's
if
what we're
you say
talking
that
about.
Valve should do the same thing that Epic is doing, then the problem is that Valve
It's
just
a-
use the money and just lock out shit tons of stuff.
Valve
To
has
be
better
honest,
games.
listen, Valve doesn't have nearly as much money as Microsoft, and Microsoft is not even locking down every single company to make exclusives.
Because they don't have the install base. That's the thing. Like Valve has the install base, and they
The thing
can
is,
do that.
even
and
when they
no one
did,
will
even when
deny.
Microsoft did had the install base, they still weren't locking down everybody. So they
Because-
can't possibly
that's-
lock down.
Because no one wants them to do that. That's the thing. Like people have spoken out and said, like, "Hey, you can't just lock stuff out on your platform. That's just stupid. No one wants that."
Yeah,
That's why people are so pissed off at Epic.
Yeah.
Like
They don't want
You're
that.
literally
They're making
advocating
cluster.
for Valve to
But
do
the
the
thing
same
is
thing
that
that
like
Activision's doing, and
thing
no
is
one
that
wants
they're
that.
not. But the thing is that
So
again,
we're
all
gonna
these-
get so we're gonna get mad at Sony because they got exclusives too. We're gonna get mad
Can I
at
take a
Xbox.
number or something?
You know, yeah, no, you're gonna go next. I just had to say, but I just find it funny how people don't want competition on PC, but it's perfectly fine on consoles. It's
but here's the
Because
thing,
no, you
like,
don't have it
this
on
is-
consoles, Tony. You
They
log into
don't?
your fucking PlayStation and you see all of your PlayStation friends. You log into your Xbox, you see all of your Xbox friends. They're trying to fragment a platform. And that is the thing you're not understanding. The fans don't want the
That's the
platform
way it's always been, man.
No, that's not the way it's always in.
Yeah.
You see me if I'm on my PlayStation. You don't have to log into the same fucking game as me. You don't have to log into EA's service in PlayStation to see me there. You see me on PlayStation. It is a connected system. That is the thing you guys aren't understanding. Yes, it is good and it is smart from a business point of view, but you're being hostile to your customers. It is like forcing them to walk through your store on the way out. People don't respond well to that kind of thing. You need to be subtle with your marketing. The second you seem hostile or forceful to your consumers, they lash back. And that's exactly what's happening here. They're coming in intentionally trying to fragment what is miraculously a unified platform in contrast to what the people of that platform want. And they're trying to leverage games to do that. If people wanted competition, if they wanted all this shit, they wouldn't have to do these kinds of things. And again, it's different on the console side because we all have an integration, and we're even talking about crossplay. We want more integration. This is a huge step backwards. Yes, this will make people money, but that is the only good thing about this situation.
Yeah, I'm having a really hard time understanding. Like, it's on your PC. Like, it's all you're not buying another PC to play
because
these
you
games.
can't see your friends on the Epic who are playing on Epic if you're on Steam, and you can't. And
So
vice
play
versa.
with your Epic friends then, just like.
So what? I get a log. So you get to log in and open up 10 different things to see if where your friends are. It scatters and shatters the community. How do you not understand that it makes?
But that's the way it's look at, because I'm seeing it from a console standpoint. Like, okay, so you're saying, oh, having an Xbox and a PlayStation scattering the community.
That's what you're not. That's what you're not understanding. Everything on PlayStation is unified. Everything on Xbox is tied into a system. There is hardware that is tied to a software platform that is an aggregate that all the other distributors come through. They bring you the games. PlayStation Network is that for PlayStation. Xbox Live is that for Xbox. Steam is that for PC. And PC people are fine with that. They don't want to have to log into 6 different things. That'd be like me telling you, next time you log into PlayStation, you have to log into PSN and the Epic Store in order to play a game. And it's not going to show you on PSN until you log into the Epic Store playing this game.
Yeah,
and
but if it's all, as
you're
long
also
as on
going to
my
have to log into Ubisoft server, and you're also going to log in.
But if it's on my PlayStation, what does it matter? If it's still on the same platform, what does it matter?
No, that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't be on the thing. I'm talking about something running separate to PSN. So when you open your PlayStation, you decide to log into the Epic Store or PSN, or you log into Origin or PSN. So now when you log in as yourself, and you say, do I want to go into the Origin Store? Do I want to go to the Epic Store? Or do I want to go into the PlayStation Network?
But if I'm still turning on my PlayStation and using the DualShock 4, it's still the same thing. It doesn't matter what I log into.
Correct. Except for if you log into the Origin Store, you can't see any of your friends on PSN.
Yeah, but I can see my Origin friends.
Yeah, and only your Origin friends.
Yeah, well, I don't see a problem with that.
So what if you didn't have any friends on your Origin?
Oh, well, too fucking bad.
I think the thing is, it's like it's an interesting sort of dichotomy here, because at the same time we were talking about, like, it seems like the biggest complaint is the sort of community sort of aspect that happens through Steam. Now, the thing is, it's like, I would think to be honest, the biggest problem I see with this Epic thing is the fact that you do need to use another program in order to run your games, as opposed to just having the game install, like a lot of the games through Steam do. Like, in other words, you don't need to run Steam in order to run your game, right?
Nope.
Yeah. But with the Epic, it's a bit different, right? You have to have Epic open in order to launch your games, right?
I honestly don't know.
So I mean, I feel like that one is to be a point of contention to me, where it's like, okay, now we're locking everybody down into a specific thing, even though you got a game that's from someplace else. So in other words, it's not the game that's installing into your system; it's using this portal in order to open up your games, which I think is problematic. But I don't. I still. The one thing about this is I just don't. I don't see the issue with having multiple companies owning these sorts of things. Like, in other words, if you're having if you have a competition store, you would try to want to get everybody to come to your store, right?
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
don't forget it. It's we're just going in circles.
I mean, like,
I
what's
get it.
well, what's not to get?
It
Like,
just sounds like people don't want to be inconvenienced to open up another app. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, that's what it's. I mean, take the time to explain this, because I don't. To be honest, this does not sound like a horrible thing.
Adam.
Adam's like,
it's because I feel like this is the same thing we went through when we were talking about going multi-plat.
I'm just saying, like,
it's
I have like
you're seeing.
Go ahead.
Through these, I don't even understand where you're seeing it from, because it doesn't make sense. The whole thing is that to lock down these third-party games like this and then to encourage it on both platforms, it's just ruining the structure of building something forward, building a community. Because you keep fracturing everything. It's like, this isn't new. We've seen this with other, like we said, Ubisoft has their own thing. Steam, EA has their own. They all have their own little launchers. Yeah. And then you need to have your friends on there. And then you have to tell your friend, hey, you want to play the sport game? Because they pulled all the FIFAs and stuff off of Steam now. You want to go on to EA? I'm not going to go on. I don't like using that. Oh, okay, there goes that. It just keeps dividing up. It's like, what's the point? All right, fine. You want to be competition? You want to have your own thing? Go ahead, do that. But when you start taking things away that people had, things that are third party, things that have large audiences like Steam and have Borderlands, which already has all their other games on there, the community's already there, and say, oh, you know what? Fuck you guys. We're going to start exclusive over here. So you guys all have to, no, we don't want to jump over there. We're already established here. Now you're telling us that we have to wait. Now you're punishing us for what? For money? Because then if that's the case, others are going to do it, and then Steam is going to do it, and then it's going to be a back and forth, and it's like as if a divorce, and then the kid's in the middle, and it's like, I can only go to dad's on the weekends, and then I want to do this, and I got to do it. Sucks. It's a
slippery slope.
Okay, see, the slippery slope stuff I can understand. I'm just saying, I'm talking about for right now. I don't see the problem, but I understand where you're coming from with the slippery slope.
It's not about right now. It's and I hate to sound like an old dad. It's the principle of the thing. It is not a big deal to open up another thing. People are not bitching about the inconvenience. They are not too lazy to open up a new window. Trust me, that's not what PC gamers are pissed about. What PC gamers are pissed about is the impact this is going to have on the fact that they have a community. And here's the weird thing. They're happy with that. Like, I know we talk about multiplat all the time. They have all the benefits of multiplat with all the benefits of having a unified system. They have developers pushing their own games into this aggregated distributor, and that distributor gives them sweet fucking discounts and deals. And it unifies the whole platform, and they can pretty much just go on there and see their friends. Like, and this all happened naturally. Here's
the one thing. It's like, what if this was taken in a different sort of way? What if, let's say, for the sake of conversation, that you could see your Epic and your Steam buddies, and vice versa.
I think the principal question is, are you adding something to the consumer? Are you adding something, or are you taking something away? Adam hit the nail on the head. And if you're taking something away, what are you taking it away for? Money? So essentially, if you're taking something away for money, you're punishing us to get paid more. That's how the community sees it. Now, if you were to say, hey, we're going to release on Steam and Epic, and we're going to give you bonus content to come over to Epic, that's giving you more.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know what? All DLC, the full season pass, free on our Epic store. We're trying to launch, we're giving a special promotion. That's the way you pull people in. Special promotions, giving them more. When you say, I'm taking something you have and taking it away unless you have money, how do people not understand that's a different thing? Like, if I walk into your house and be like, hey, I'm going to take your computer chair away unless you give me $50, it's a completely different thing than going out and buying a new computer chair. You may argue that, well, at the end of the day, it's still a transaction, buying a computer chair. What's the big deal? And the big deal is, essentially, this is a service that they already have. And it's being taken away and putting behind a paywall. And people get mad when that happens. It's this isn't a big complicated thing. It goes back down.
I'm not getting it at all because this is the way I'm seeing it. Let's say I bought the first 2 Borderlands on Steam. Now I have to go to the Epic Store. I'm like, shit, okay. Download the Epic Store, play it on Epic Store on my PC. So I haven't been inconvenienced. Nothing was taken away from me.
You are just literally focusing
I
on.
mean, to be maybe this is.
Wait, hold, Manny, hold on. I'm focusing on what?
You're just focusing on literally the physical actions that you need to take to open the new window.
Yes, because
How many times do I have to tell you that's not
This
what
is not
it's
it.
about?
That's not the
Then
point.
That's not the problem.
I don't fucking understand it. Just because
I mean-
of some principle, like, dude, you're not being inconvenienced. No one's taking the game away from you. You're still gonna be able to play the game. You know.
Let me-
No
I
one's-
mean,
no one's
to be
taking-
honest, like,
Wait.
Well, go ahead, Brad. Go ahead.
Let me give you an analogy, Tony. If I go to a fort and take down their flag and put up my flag, that's not a lot of effort. All I've done is change a flag. The implications of that action, though, are far-reaching and consequential. That is what we're talking about right now. Yes, the action itself is inconsequential, but the impacts that it's going to have on this community are things that this community is very actively and verbally saying they don't want.
I think I'm going to chalk this up to just like with the Nintendo community. I just fundamentally do not understand PC gamers. Because I'm like, how is your community broken up if you're still playing on the same fucking system? I don't get it. So maybe I should just not talk about this because I fundamentally don't understand
where
it.
your friends are. A community is literally
Your
where your
friends
friends
on your
are.
fucking PC. You talk to them on Skype. You talk to them on Discord. This shit hasn't changed. It's still the same physical thing, you know?
I mean, to be honest, like the least a lot of the way this sounds to me, it's like having another store and having one store having an exclusive over another store. It's like Macy's
and the stores are both in the same building.
They're all both in the same building. It's like, hey, look, it's JCPenney's and it's Macy's. Macy's has these different things than JCPenney's does. Am I going to get mad that I can't buy this specific shirt that I can't buy? I can only buy at Macy's at JCPenney's.
I gotta go to the third floor
okay.
now. You know.
No. Okay, let me put it this way. To use that analogy, you and all your friends hang out in the food court. The food court's great. You can get you can get cookies, you can get Cinnabons, you can get pretzels, you can get Chinese food, you can get all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of becomes a main hangout spot where you just hang out in the food court and all your high school friends just kind of come in, and that's where everybody,
that's where all your games are. Everybody, the arcades there,
everybody's
you all
chilling
hanging out.
Yeah, everybody's kicking it. And then one day, the mall manager comes down and says, "We're moving the Cinnabon all the way to the top left floor." And you're like, "Motherfucker, I love that Cinnabon." And they're like, "That's fine. All you got to do is walk past all these other shops." And you're like, "You're just trying to get me to walk past these shops to sell me more shit." And they're like, "Yeah, that's the point." You're like, "Well, now it's a huge pain in the ass to now I have to leave the group that I'm in to go find a Cinnabon. I literally have to leave the party to go get something."
And not everybody's going to want to go.
Exactly. So when you're like, "Hey guys, let's all go get Cinnabons," out of your 12 friends, 3 of them say okay. That's not a party.
Let's say everybody likes to stream and do stuff and do all that stuff. They can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good analogy, but I disagree with it. It's more like, hey, we're moving Cinnabon from the left side of the food court to the right side. So you have to scoot on over a little bit because it's still the same food court, you know?
No, you have to leave your group of friends and go to a different isolated place.
One thing I do understand, it seems like the biggest issue in here is not the fact that it's totally locked down to another store. At least the vibe I'm getting is that the fact that there is essentially a whole new ecosystem connected to it, where it's like, again, you don't have all the people that you had on the original thing. So it's like you can't see it, you can't see all your buddies, you can't see all that stuff. I get that part of it. But the exclusive part of it, where it's like, in other words, you lock down a game for 6 months and then eventually it'll come out for everything else. I don't see that much of an issue with that.
You're seeing that for this one. And then when 6 months turns into a year and 2 years, like what we've seen with other games like GTA, when they did that with the 360 and stuff, that's what we're seeing. And that's why people are protesting. They don't want it to get to that point. They don't want this to be a battle.
Yeah, they're protesting what could happen, not what is currently happening. They're getting ahead of the curve. And honestly, the reason I'm kind of like, go them, support them, is because they are doing what console gamers have never been fucking able to do. Identifying problems on the horizon and standing their ground even when it's a little thing. Console gamers, we're fucking idiots. We've let them nickel and dime us. We've let them chip us down until we're getting spoon-fed bland bullshit like Destiny. Meanwhile, on the PC side, they're getting really interesting games. They're constantly getting discounts. Like, we're the suckers here. We're the ones demand. And honestly, I understand why PC gamers are mad at console gamers, because we've been so weak-willed and let them fuck us over the barrel enough that it's become the industry standard, and it's dragged down the quality and availability of PC gaming. We are literally an albatross around the neck of PC gaming. And now this world is spreading into PC gaming, and PC gamers are going to say, no, not one fucking step. I know it's one step now, and then it's going to be another step, and then another step, and it's all going to be a little step until you have the full fucking mile. And we're not going to let this happen. This ends here. This ends now. And that's exactly
by the way,
So what
by the
if
way,
the
yeah,
next
yeah,
thing goes
yeah.
that the continuation of a franchise just then completely goes to the other side? Or they say, all right, for the next 2 games, they're going to be a year exclusive. It's like, why? Because we feel like they're paying us a lot of money. But we've all been here. We've been supporting you for years here. This is where our ecosystem is. This is where we hang out. This is where all our games are. Why? Because we're getting paid more in the other place. Jump over it. Just fucking wait a year. Peace.
Is it okay?
Yeah,
and
but,
then
but that happens for consoles. By the way, I just need to quickly say it because I'm looking at the comments. Yeah, Adam and Brett, the chat doesn't agree with you guys. Just had to throw that in there. Go ahead, Manny.
I mean, we're we talk about the other guys, at GOG, right, which are the the DRM free versions of games and stuff like that. Now, obviously, you can't see the other Steam people playing this, correct? I mean, those things just install in your those just install into your system, and then that's it, right?
They have their own launcher. GOG has their own launcher.
Yeah, but they don't have exclusives. They don't want content behind there, so it's completely optional.
Yeah.
I was just about to note, yes, but GOG do not launch lock stuff. Witcher 3 was available on Steam and on GOG at the same time.
Yeah.
And no one had an issue with that. And that's the problem. Like, Epic are like saying, hey, you know what, we'll launch Witcher 3 on just our platform and nowhere else because fuck you. So that's the issue there. It's like, if you're, like, I don't understand how people can be happy that companies are doing this purely because they get paid more. Like, no, like, the whole point is to create a good experience for the user, and you're not doing that. You're personally segmenting the marketplace because you want to get paid more. Well, because literally, fuck you, pay me. And that's it. And I'm not happy about that because I think, okay, that's quite dumb. Like, if you're doing that simply because you want to get paid more, that's kind of sucky. If you're doing it because you disagree with Steam's rules and Steam's whatever, then make up your own store, Don't just go to Epic Store just because Epic are paying more. I'm pretty sure that GOG must have a good deal as well. Because again, from my understanding, GOG aren't doing anything wrong. They're just like, hey, we're GOG, we're here, DRM free. So I just don't understand why it's just only on Epic Store and not on GOG, not on Uplay, not on Origin Store, not on wherever the Activision one is. Again, multiple launchers are not the problem here. The problem is that Epic have locked down and are continuing to lock down games on their platform because fuck you, pay me. And that's the issue there. It's like you can't just do that because then you incentivize everyone else to do the same thing because if one person can do it, then so can they do it. So then at some point in time, EA will be like, hey, you know what? We'll pay for this game to be on our thing. Like they'll turn around and say, I don't know, what's a game in the future?
It's just like what we see with all the cord cutters, right? Where people like get rid of cable, cut this, I'm going to save money, and the next we see all these other sub paywalls for all these networks and shows and content that you used to watch on regular TV and you thought everything was fine. It's now behind another paywall. ESPN has a paywall within a paywall. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and it's going to keep going that way, and it's the same effect. It's because then another company say, hey, I can do that too. I can do that. Fucking when you see ESPN and other, especially ESPN, I can't believe they're doing this. They're already a paywall, right? If you want ESPN, you get it on your cable package, and then there's ESPN Plus, and you have to pay on top of that if you want the content. And there's like a lot of that shit was already on ESPN. I was like, well, now you have to pay 2 paywalls to get the content that you had before. And I'm like, well, we're doing this because everybody's cutting the cord, so now you got to pretty much pay for everything.
Yeah, and I don't give a fuck. Your well-being as a business is not my concern. My user experience as a business is my concern. I don't understand why everybody's like, well, this is good for the business. They're going to make more money. Motherfucker, they make millions of dollars. They make a shit ton of money. I'm not concerned about the health and welfare of big gaming companies for the most part. I'm concerned about what I get. Sorry if that makes me a selfish asshole.
And if you really want to go there, they probably have made the money by like saying, hey, you know what? We'll put our game only on your store, and that's it. Like they probably made back the money that way anyway. So hence, it's kind kind of like, hey, it's just there for the store's convenience, not our convenience. Again, I still say at the end of the day, just release it on all the platforms or on more than one platform. That's the thing, on more than one platform, and then the community can choose where they want to shop. That's my thing. Let them choose. Okay, do you want to shop here? Do you want to shop there? Do you want to shop there? And then that way, the stores will have to compete rather than just locking down content to their platform. They can say, cool, you know what? Our store gives you a 30-day back money guarantee on games. Oh yeah, but our store gives us 90 days. Okay, our store has sales every 2 weeks. You know, our sales have like user reviews. Our stores
Yeah.
have this feature. Our stores have that feature.
Like when
And
Epic
that
said that
way,
they were.
you can actually choose like which one's the best, and you actually start to see, okay, more people are flooding to this store, this feature. Okay, we'll have this feature as well, and then that builds up the competition.
It's or like when Epic, when they first launched and they said, oh, you know what, we're not going to take a big chunk from the developers for publishing on here, not like Steam. Okay, that's great, do that. And that was to encourage a lot of developers to push their game on there. But then I guess it wasn't fast enough. So they say, you know, fuck that shit. How much do you want to just bring your shit over here? I don't. Here's a bunch of money. Just fucking do it. Okay.
By the way, I got a couple questions here from Sketch, and like I said, even though this isn't the question show, if you have a question pertinent to the conversation, I will answer them, or we will answer them. This is for the guys that are pro or against Epic. I guess against Epic. Okay. Sketch says, so you and your Steam friends are not playing the game anyways for another 6 months, and when it does come out, you could also play together. So where is the loss? And the last
it's
part,
the long term. It's the first step. It's like saying, you know what? We don't want you here just for this day. Okay. Next, we don't want you here for a week. We don't want you here for a month. Hey, when will it stop? So we're trying to nip it in the bud before it expands. That's the point.
We're building a better tomorrow. Everybody, I know.
Yeah, think long term, not short term.
Right? It seems like we're freaking out over a little thing, but it's the implications of the little thing and how it incentivizes other people to make shitty decisions. And we've seen this happen parallel in the console market. We've already watched this happen in the media market. We've watched it happen. We're actively trying to stop its encroachment onto what we consider a perfectly fine gaming space. It's fine here. Don't come in and fuck it up. Don't get in the pool and piss in it. Don't lock us down. Don't tell us what to do. PC gamers they don't like being told what to do, and they really don't like being told "fuck you." Like console gamers are gonna be a developer will look right in the eyes of a console gamer and be like "fuck you," and the console gamer will be like, "Sweet, so I'm getting an extra skin, right?" Like they will just take it. PC gamers, they will judge a company based off what they consider to be its moral merits. Like, no, man, these developers lie to their customers all the time. They constantly miss their updates. They constantly promise content that they later cut. Their roadmap was completely rewritten from the time they were in alpha. They have clearly no idea what they're doing, and they're being unresponsive. I don't have faith that this game is going to continue to be supported based solely on the actions of the developer. And that's a perfectly valid reason to review bomb somebody.
The review bombing is fucking stupid. I'm sorry.
I'm talking about on that game. Like the attitude of a developer on a game will affect how people view that game, and they will review it as such. PC gamers are constantly looking at how their actions affect the market. They're very cognizant of that. And that's why I say, like, honestly, they've done better than us console gamers. And, like, I kind of bridge the gap, but I'll say, like, PC gamers, you guys are fucking winning it because you don't let them get away with shit. Console gamers, we just fucking take it as long as you give us a new skin, and that's fucked up.
By the way, Glorious War says, yeah, you're building a better tomorrow by making Steam a monopoly. I think that's a fair point.
Not the monopoly. It's not. Oh, my God. We're not saying we don't want them to go away.
I think people are getting the wrong message of it.
No one's saying that we want the games only on Steam. Like, everyone here is saying that Epic's practice and the way that they're doing it might cause Steam to do the same thing, and hence cause the monopoly that they are saying that we want. Like, we don't want that. That's the thing. Like, Epic's locking games to a platform is creating a monopoly of that game on that platform. We don't want that. We don't want Epic to do it. We don't want Steam to do it. We don't want GOG to do it. We don't want any of them to do it.
Yeah.
And then are you okay with PlayStation doing that with Spider-Man and God of War? Just wanted to understand that. Are you okay with
those? And what if they left? What if they left?
If they publish it, then that's fair game. Like, again, this is the same reason
why
I
have published,
I have no issue.
Yeah, if Steam published Half-Life 3, that'd be okay. No, if they did, would that be okay? Because I think it would be. It's their game. You know, it's their
If they make a
platform.
game, if they
It's
make a
making-
game, then you have every right to put it on your
Yeah,
platform
we're
because
talking
it's
about
your
third-party
game.
stuff.
It's your money that you pumped in.
All right, just
What
wanted
the
to make
hell,
sure
you know?
I understood that because
Again, I
that's
said
how
the same
I
thing when
remember
DICE
when-
went. So when EA went, and like, cool, you know what? You guys made Battlefield. You don't want to put on Steam. You want to put on the Origin thing. I don't like that idea, but hey, you know, it's your game. You put money into it. You can do whatever the hell you want with it.
Yeah,
Not my
Tony,
issue.
you know, a lot of MMOs have their own launcher. They're not on Steam, and you have to
Yeah.
pay to get.
Uh,
You get
yeah,
on
that's
and
fine.
launch into it.
Warframe took 2 years to come on Steam. Elite Dangerous, there was no Steam version until a year after launch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Again,
but Brett,
no one has an
okay,
issue with that.
explain to me what is wrong with launching another launcher.
Nothing.
Okay,
No one
that's
has an issue with
'cause
that.
I'm like that's what it
Yeah,
sounds like
this
to
is
me. you
Yeah,
know?
No,
no,
that-
it's
Well, then,
It's
well,
like,
then,
oh
here's
fuck,
the
I gotta click on
conversation.
another program now.
I think-
God.
like,
What-
Then
I
Tony,
think-
you're not hearing the conversation though.
I
Like,
am hearing it, and it sounds.
no
I'm sorry, it
has an
sounds
issue
really
with that.
childish
The
and
entire
stupid.
conversation has been why that's not an issue,
Yeah,
Tony.
and I think you guys are really
We're
like going
talk-
crazy
we
over
just-
this, man. Like you're making a mountain out of a molehill. you
Tony,
know?
no one has an issue with launchers. Like launchers have been a thing for years, multiple launchers. Like when was Diablo 3 out?
Fucking
remember.
even before Diablo, they when
2010,
BattleNet
No.
launched, and they
like-
they had their own launcher.
No one complained. It's like, hey, it's launcher for thing. Okay, cool, it's fine. No one has an issue with multiple launchers. They are a pain to deal with because of multiple logins, but hey, you know what? It's fine. It's not the issue. The issue is that locking content down to a particular platform like that, that's the issue. Because then it
Third-party
incentivizes
content.
yes, third party stuff. Because then it then creates the world where that type of stuff is acceptable, and hence, what's to stop EA from doing it? What's to
They
stop?
already did. I remember
Origin
they
from
did when they
doing
did it with their sport games. There used to be
You know,
Madden and FIFA
What's to
on
stop
Steam, and they
Steam
took it
from doing
away.
it? You know, what's
Dude,
what's to stop like the Origin store from coming around and saying, hey, you know what? Mafia 4 is on Origin and Origin only for 1 year.
Okay, but if
Yeah.
you could
That is the
access
type of
them
world
on
you
your
want to live in.
PC, I don't
Dude,
see the
okay,
problem.
Tony, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Would it be okay for PlayStation or Microsoft to approach a third-party studio and pay them vast sums of money to have that game as an exclusive? Is it okay to buy exclusives on console?
Yeah,
I'll answer
it is.
for you. No.
Yes,
We've
it
had
is. It's their
podcasts
money. They can do
now.
whatever they want with it. That's their fucking money. They can do whatever they want with it. You know.
It's not that it's their money. It's that the developers are.
I never seen that as a bad thing. If you got the money for it and the
Holy
people are
shit.
willing to go for it,
Seriously,
yeah, I'm dead
It's
serious.
bad for us. Why are you looking
How
at
is
this
it bad?
from
Just buy the fucking system. That's
Then-
that. You know.
So then, Tony, okay, wait, Tony. So then you're okay if, okay, hypothetically, if next generation Microsoft just came out and said, okay, cool, you know what, guys, we're losing this war. Let's bring out our big gun, and then they bought every single exclusive on the market, and then
Well,
PS4.
I guess
or
I'm buying an
PS5 had-
Xbox next
and
generation.
PS5 had nothing, and then that's how the PlayStation died.
Yeah,
you'd
then
be
I'm
happy
then I'm
with that
buying then
type
I'm
of
buying
scenario.
then I'm buying an Xbox. Then that's
No,
what
no.
games are.
Okay, no. The question is, and you'd be happy with that scenario?
I wouldn't be happy, but I have to deal with it. You know, I'm not gonna like cry about something I can't help. You know, so I'll just buy
No
the
more
system.
trophies, Tony. No more trophies ever. Like
Yeah,
you're stuck with
I
a
got
cheat.
I got Chivos. That's fine. I'll have to deal with it. You know.
You see, you say that now, but we know it's bullshit.
I thought we had established as a podcast that
No, you established that.
Well,
I
you-
never
come on,
said
man.
that.
no.
yeah.
I'm saying
We
buying third-party content that would be accessible to an entire market and locking it away from a portion of that market is kind of a dick move.
I didn't agree to that. I didn't agree to that at all.
to
Never.
that market.
Never. I
How
never
is
agreed
how
to
is that not a dick move?
that. Because that's their prerogative. They could do that. That's how you
Who
make it. That's how
fucking cares if it's their prerogative? Why are you defending them?
I'm not defending.
Remember
I'm telling
who
you how
buys
it
this
is.
shit?
I'm telling
Who
you how the
buys
shit
this?
is.
Customers, the
You know, I'm
players.
telling you how
Yeah,
it
dude,
is.
Tony,
Like
you're
how it
literally
is.
saying I
So
am
you're-
okay
yeah.
if they want to pull an extra $300 out of my pocket because it makes them more money. Who
No,
the
because
fuck
that's the
cares?
prerogative. That's how capitalism works, man. That's the way it's always been. Why did you buy a Super Nintendo? Because they had games you couldn't play on
You know
Genesis.
how else
And
capitalism
here-
works?
man.
Pissing
And
off your
here-
customer base loses you money, and
And
that's
here-
what they're doing.
and herein lies
Really? So we come on, man. You're being silly right now.
here
So
lies-
this is how it's always fucking been. You want an
There's a difference
exclusive game.
between
You
loyal.
no, we're not
there's
being.
a-
You've
it's
always
tied
bought
down.
multiple systems to play the different games on it. That's how
But what
shit
if you
works.
didn't buy multiple systems? Look
No,
at this
I'm
from
not talking about
another
what if. I'm
different
talking about what
point of view.
is. What happened? That's how it is, man.
That's
you wanna
what
play
I'm saying. You don't care if somebody, you don't care, like, for instance, if Chris didn't have both systems, you don't give a fuck that Chris doesn't play the game because at least Sony or Microsoft made more money. You give less about how this affects your friends than it does than
What
you
the hell
than
does
you
it
care
have to do with my friends?
Because that's what this whole thing is
makes no
about.
sense.
Holy crap.
That's what this is all about. Not everybody owns a system. This isn't about just you who owns 3 systems. Most people don't own 3 systems. Exclusive content locks content away from a
and then you buy the system where your friends are
Some
on. That's
people
the way it's
don't
always
have the
been.
money to buy the system.
Then they have to buy the
Not
system
everybody's
that
rich
most of
like
their
you,
friends are
Tony.
on.
Not
I'm not
everybody's
fucking
rich.
rich. I'm
Come
the
on now,
poorest
not
guy on
everybody's
this
rich like you.
podcast,
I
bro.
do
And
think
I
that-
still got all the fucking get the fuck
You
out
don't
of
buy
here.
Not
any of
everybody's
your
rich like
fucking
you.
games.
I
Yes,
do think-
I buy, dude. I bought every single one of my systems, bro. Get the fuck out of here. Every single one of them. And I'm the poorest motherfucker on this podcast. Don't tell me I'm rich. Fuck out of here,
I'm
man.
not saying that you're rich. I'm saying that you have, like, dude, you're on a podcast. How many times have you bought something because you said, well, this is kind of my job too. I'm on a podcast. Some people don't have that extra money. Some people don't choose that extra money.
And for those people, they could buy the system that most of their friends are on, and I don't see the problem with that. That's the way it's always been.
Okay, wait, Tony. Here's another hypothetical. Let's say that hypothetically, in 5 years' time, Valve is like, cool. You know what? Let's bring out our big gun and bring out the wallet, and every single PlayStation exclusive is on Steam, and that's it for 2 years.
Can I still use my DualShock 4 on? Can I still use my DualShock 4 on the PC?
I think with Steam you can now these days.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
then that's where I'm going.
Tony, it
The
sounds
thing
like
is,
your priority. It sounds like your priorities are you.
I think the thing that you don't understand with Tony and also a lot of people out there, there's also
Manny,
it sounds
How about
like
with you?
Is it?
How about with you? The same hypothetical. If they would turn around and say, cool, you know, every single PlayStation exclusive now on PC, sorry, on Valve, on Steam, sorry, and that's it for 1 year or 2 years, how would you feel?
If it's specifically on a PC,
You're Metal Gear.
On Valve, that's it. Sorry, on Steam.
Yeah,
on Steam,
On Steam, and
I'm
that's it.
I'm not a PC player, so it would mean I would have to invest. It would mean I would have to invest in a whole new PC. So I probably won't do that.
I've just been
Then
sitting here having
you're saying
popcorn.
that you would
happened,
not be
Chris?
happy.
I'm just getting popcorn here. Like,
Yeah, just check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Then,
did. I
Manny,
did.
you're
I
saying that
wouldn't.
you would not be happy with that
I-
situation.
I would.
Oh,
I
no,
would be
it would
like,
suck, but that's just the
it
way
would
it
mean-
is. Then you
here's
have
the
to
thing,
deal with
Why
it.
is it okay to suck though? Why is it okay for an experience?
You
to
don't
suck?
believe in fighting against the man.
Because I'm
Dude,
gonna
this is
fucking
what we're
lose. The
talking
man's
about.
always gonna
Hold on,
win,
hold on,
man.
hold
That's
on.
how
No,
it
it's
works.
not true.
The
The man
man's
doesn't
always
always
gonna win.
I like the way you just talked to me and everybody started yelling after.
Yeah.
I know, it's lovely.
Tony,
It's
what you're
hilarious.
So I just want to make this clear.
Yeah.
Let's just pin this down right here. Tony, what you're literally saying is you don't care if it inconveniences the customer as long as it makes the company money.
I didn't say that. You're
That
putting
sounds
words
like
in my
what you're
mouth.
saying.
No, I'm not saying
trying
that.
to figure out. I'm trying to figure out what you're saying because your priorities seem to be Tony's, like your personal experience.
Of
followed
course,
by
it's
the
my fucking personal experience. That's what I always talk
Dude,
about.
There's multiple parts to this. It's your personal experience followed by the company's best interest, followed by all other gamers. And that's the part that's weird. You don't give a fuck how something affects all other gamers as long as it's good for the company.
I didn't
No,
say that.
He doesn't care about.
yeah.
He doesn't care about what happens to other gamers. As he cares about what is specifically happening with himself. He is seeing this in this direction, where it's like, okay, if it's already on that, if it's on this other platform, then I'll go onto that other
Yeah,
platform.
it's as simple as
There's
that.
no loyalty between the actual platform, and that's what
But
that's
he
what
assumes
that's what
everybody has that
I think.
option.
That's what at least from what I'm seeing is the direction Tony is sort of seeing this from, where it's like, okay, I don't care if it's on Steam, I don't care if it's on Xbox, I don't care if it's on something else. I'll go there if it means it has all the
So I'm going
different
to play the games.
Well,
Go ahead,
yeah,
Chris.
well, also, yeah, and I see where Tony's coming from. He's seeing that's like, okay, there's another store, and these games, which are people want to play, are locked to that store. So it's like, oh, what do I need to do to get the games? Well, download our store. All right, so he downloads it, and then he pays Epic instead of paying Valve for the games. So that's how he's looking at it. If you want to say that there's something ethically wrong with what how Epic is acquiring these exclusives, throwing around 10-cent investment money and whatnot to buy in and do that stuff, that's a fair argument, and I would say, like, I don't trust 10-cent, and I inherently don't trust the Epic store because I think they're going to use it for data mining, and that's my problem with it. But from Tony's perspective, I could see you see it from his side, like it's another launcher to him. So he's like, well, okay, so I just got to download some other shit to buy my game. Okay, so that's how he's looking at it.
I love how I love how I need Chris and Manny to translate the same shit I
yeah,
did
because
for
I
like
mean,
the last hour.
I remember when I used to play FIFA on Steam when it was there, and then they took it and they moved it to EA, and it was like, oh, here's your other friends list, and they didn't give me an option to merge my friends list. None of my friends came over from Steam to play FIFA on the EA launcher, on Origin. So then I said, fuck it, and I just started keep playing it on console because at least everybody was there.
Right.
This is what we're talking about. So if
and
Borderlands comes, not everybody's gonna jump over just for fucking Borderlands.
Well, I do
So
understand
then-
fragmentation also because this is the same thing we complain about with the streaming services, right?
Yeah.
So now everything is being broken up. Warner Brothers does their own shit. They have DC Universe, and Disney's going to launch Disney Plus, so they're pulling all their content off of Netflix, Hulu, whatever, and they're going to lock it behind that paywall, and you got to pay them. The difference is like you have to pay for each of these things, so it's like, god damn, it's almost like I having cable all over again. I'm paying $10 to Disney, $10 to Warner Brothers, $10 to Netflix, $15 to Hulu, so I don't have to watch ads, and I got to pay for Amazon Prime and all. It becomes ridiculous, and you can't watch your stuff in one place. Well, the lacking thing is that you don't really have a community with Netflix. Like, I don't know what you're doing, and you don't know what I'm watching or whatever. They just have generic shit. So I can understand what Steam has built up this big community with all these features. You can chat with people. You can see what people are playing, what they have played. They have a trophy system or something, and it's built up over time, and it's fairly open. So Epic comes along, and they're throwing around money to lock stuff to them because they don't have a fair way to compete with Steam. So from that perspective, I could see like that's a problem, right? And the stuff Brian said before, where it's like, so offer better sales, offer DLC content for free, offer people things that they're going to come over to the store, So that oh, Brett, sorry, okay, you both made good points on that, like that where competition could come in, and I don't trust where this money's coming from that Epic is gaining from, because I think that a lot of it is going to be used to monitor people, data mine, and set advertising on. So that's my main problem with the Epic Game Store. And but for PC gamers, I could completely understand. They've built a community up, and they follow Steam, and some people use GOG or whatever, launch their MMOs, but that's exclusive to that, and that's fine. But they all have a community, so I don't want their community fractured, And some of these games have been pulled off, like the Outer Worlds. I was shocked when I heard Outer Worlds got pulled off Steam, and it's going to be locked to Epic. So people don't like that because now there's something's lost. You feel like
it's like that, yeah, and it's not just Epic. And then let's say EA decides to do it with more of their games, like they've already done. And then let's say Ubisoft starts doing it. Says, you know what? Yeah, fuck that. We're pulling all this stuff. Next, everyone takes their shit. Then you need a shitload of fucking launchers. Then you need a shitload of different friends lists. There's no one central. It's sort of like when we had ICQ on PC. Remember how awesome ICQ was? And then AOL was trying to push Messenger. And we're like, no, we don't want Messenger. We have ICQ. This links up with everybody. Then they said, you know what? Okay. They bought ICQ and killed it.
Yeah. That's right. I remember.
They fucking bought it and killed it.
And now AOL's dead.
Now AOL's dead. By the way, a question from Glorious War. Can I ask the panel, where was this outrage when the Xbox 360 was buying exclusives left and right, enticing customers from PlayStation?
People still pissed. Still
I was
pissed about
equally as
that.
angry, and this is the same situation, and that's why I'm frustrated. That's why I thought the panel had come to a conclusion like, nah, this is fucked up. Xbox did this thing, but it's fucked up.
Bullshit.
Yeah, I wasn't
happy
about
and how
360, but that's just how it is, man. I accepted it. It sucked, but I accepted
Why
it.
do you have to accept it? And that's the difference, though. PC gamers don't lay down and accept stuff because that's the way that it is.
I think you're also console gamers don't lay down and accept stuff. You've seen.
Oh yeah,
we've seen it. We've seen it with Tomb Raider. People did not buy it when it came over to PS4. After that 1 year long exclusive that it had on the Xbox, people said, "Fuck it, we're not buying it then."
I think Brett just hit it on the head. I just fundamentally do not understand the workings of the PC gamer. Just like Nintendo players, and I stopped making predictions on Nintendo because I'm like, I don't understand these fucking people. It's a completely alien thing. Yeah. So
Tony, look at it this way. Look at it this way. You stumble across some weird hippie like communist commune, and everything is like this weird kind of utopia. You don't know how it's working, but it seems to be working. And then somebody comes in, they're like, communism never works. We're bringing in democracy. And just standing here being like, I don't know how, but it's working right there. We should just leave it alone. They're like, no, we're going to bring democracy into this because democracy is always good. And like blindly charging in and fucking up a fragile ecosystem. That's we're
as a person who's vehemently against communism, bring democracy in, man.
Let me put it, maybe this is fucking.
I would think it'd be like a communist country, or no, excuse me, it would be a monarchy, right? And then a communist country comes in.
Yeah,
government comes in.
No, Brett, flip it around, and I kind of understand. It's like, here's the perfect democracy is a great, beautiful thing. It may be a little ugly, but it works. Then you roll into communism, and everything is fucked up.
Dude,
then I can understand where you're coming from.
This is literally the plot of Fern Gully.
Oh, you mean the rainforest guys or Avatar?
There is a community here that's natural. It's grown. It has beautiful character. They do things their own way. And then another group says, we know better. We're going to come in and push this ideal on you. That is the viewpoint of the gamer. You need to get away from the viewpoint of the developer, the viewpoint of the business, and realize that these are.
But you have to take those into consideration too, because I feel like a lot of gamers only.
Don't.
No, I know they don't, but I think they should. Like, then you'll understand everything that's going on.
But
you know.
But here's the thing: why should I have any sympathy for somebody who's blindly trying to say?
You shouldn't have sympathy, so you could at least understand where they're coming from. That's
why?
all. Yeah.
I don't need to give a fuck.
Okay, I can't. We can't have this conversation because I at least want to understand their motivations. I'm like, okay, it may be kind of fucked up, but I see where they're coming from.
No,
you know?
I understand their motivations, and that's they want to. Just as Brian said, "Fuck you, pay me." That's their motivation. And when somebody shows that kind of motivation, I'm like, "No, fuck you. I'm not going to pay you." There's a reason I bought every Witcher game, even though I didn't enjoy any of them, because I love CD Projekt Red.
Yeah,
and it is a genuinely good game. I want to see.
Most people wouldn't buy games that they would. Most people wouldn't buy companies from games that they they ever plan to play.
Yeah, but you know what? PC gamers do. PC gamers play a game they like and buy copies for friends because they want to see the developer.
Yeah, man. I bought a bunch of stuff for you guys.
Man.
I bought a bunch of stuff. Remember, I used to send many gifts all the time.
Yeah, PC gamers will feel that they've got more than their fair content, and they'll buy shit they don't even need. They buy legendary. On consoles, you are forced to buy the $90 package because you get an extra fucking skin on this or whatever. On PC, they love the developers so much, they're going to give them $90 because they feel that the game they're about to get is worth $90 regardless. They could throw the fucking statue away as soon as it comes in. They don't give a shit. They just want to give the developer more money. And that is a totally different concept. It is a non-hostile concept. There's this weird kumbaya thing going on in the PC world, and quite frankly, it's pretty fucking cool. And I don't see why we need to step in as console gamers and impose and say like, hey, we're dealing with it. You should shut up and fucking deal with it too. Like, that's not our place. That's up for the PC gamers. And it's a PC
I think that's a fair point. But from my standpoint, I could still be amused by it because I find this whole thing very, very amusing. By the way, by the way, sketch for you, Brett. He says if you bought all the Witcher games on Steam, then you're being a hypocrite. You should have bought them on GOG.
I should have.
Oh,
absolutely, I should have. And I think I did buy the third one on GOG. But I wasn't that well informed when the first two came out. I didn't learn about GOG until fairly a good amount after a lot of people did.
GZDR, CD Projekt Red didn't buy GOG. They created GOG. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
but
it's theirs. It's
they created.
That's their service.
Exactly.
But they're against the whole. DRM.
All the games on GOG are DRM free, which means that you can. And this is actually what I was talking about like a couple weeks back, Brett. If you like your physical games, then just buy them on GOG, put them on disk or USB or something.
Back them up.
And put them in case, and you can do that.
By the way, quick question for the PC guys, because Sketch says that he purposely doesn't buy games on Steam because they do all this bullshit. He only buys them on GOG. What do you think about that?
That's fine. GOG entices you over, and that's a great thing. GOG doesn't force you. There's no point in which currently, other than Epic, there's no platform on PC that grabs you by the back of the head and says, you need to do this. It's all enticing.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's all like, come on over here and try this. Come on. You want good deals? Steam has a sweet sale. You want DRM free games? GOG has you covered. Like, it's walking down a road.
Sometimes GOG will give you free games and be like, free games. Come on in today. Get it free.
And Steam will sell fucking weird humble bundles. Like
Yeah,
it's walking down a row of shops that you want to, and having people being like, "This is on sale. This is on sale," versus what they're trying to do, which is instead of walking down a row of shops, they'll force you to walk through a row of shops with annoying fucking salespeople jumping in your face and be like, "Have you tried the new Apex Legends skin pack yet?" Like it's a completely different experience, and they don't want to be forced to do stuff. They don't want that hostility. Right now, it's great. Everybody's just offering you free shit. It's like going to Comic-Con. There's just fucking swag, and everybody's trying to get you to come to their table, right? Like it's a good experience, and they're trying to change that. And yeah, they're making a mountain out of a molehill because
it can get big. It can become a super issue. Don't want, and we
By
don't
the way,
want the destroyed, and then there goes my ICQ.
Yeah. By the way, so, what do you guys make of some of the comments here that say you guys sound entitled?
Entitled of what?
Because you're like, oh,
we're doing it for the people.
Paradise, you know.
There is no paradise.
Brett
That's the point.
I kind of like, do I feel entitled to a platform and a system that's already there? I guess you could look at it that way. I feel more like I should defend something that I care about because there are people who are trying to ruin it for money.
That's it. And it's just going to make things worse. And then when everybody says, you know what, all the publishers are going to have their own shit. So then it's like, all right, well, there goes that. We had a community where everybody was together and we were hanging out. Now it's gone. Now it's like, oh, you're on this one? Oh, I got to launch this. You're on that one? I got to launch it. You know, fuck all this. I don't need that. I'll just go on console.
I'm going to join your side once you have to start paying for all of these. Then I'll be with you because that's the reason I wasn't really for EA Access. I'm like, what if we have a future where you have to pay for all these subscriptions? That would fucking suck. Then I'll be on your side. But if it's free, it's all on your computer, I don't really see the big issue.
Oh, I'm sure it'll go in that direction. I'm sure they're still waiting on the numbers from the EA premium to see how that's going.
When they go down there, I'll be right there with you, man. Yeah,
they will try, but it's not going to work. PC guys are like, no, fuck off. Again, they will sit there and they'll say like, no, we don't want to pay for your service. Cough, cough, Xbox Live.
All right. I'm gonna take this one last comment about, and then we're gonna move on. I want your.
Can you say something like,
go ahead, Brian.
Really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't see how I don't see how it's entitled wanting to spend your money in whatever shop you want. So that's essentially what we're advocating for. It's like, hey, give us the ability to choose which shop we shop at.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that as entitled. I think that's just how life works. Like, I could buy an iPhone from this shop or that shop or this shop. Allow us to do that. We like that, you know? And then that way you can entice us by sales. Or
that's it, exactly. You can have all kinds of crazy sales to whatever you want. Don't lock it there.
You have a right as a consumer not to spend your money. Like that is something that a lot of people like seem to want to like forget. Like I have a fundamental right to be like, I don't like you. I don't like your product. I don't like the way that you're pushing it. I'm not giving you my money. And
like
that's
take me for example. Like take me for example. I've only ever bought 3 games on PS4. 3 games on PS4. Every other game that I have on PS4 is through PSN Plus. Seriously, go look at my list. It's really weird. The 3 games are GTA, Sedran Kagra, because it's great, and Bloodborne. That's it. Those are the only 3 games I've ever purchased. Sorry, and The Order, because it's on sale for like £3, which is like $5. So
can't resist that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so 4 games on PS4. I've only ever bought 4 games on PS4. Why? Because I don't agree with the PS4 and how Sony are handling it. So hence, I don't support them.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Glorious War says, and it's about you 3 guys. Your views on PC gamers are skewed. Most PC gamers do not buy games, and all they play is free to play games.
See, you say most, but how big is most? Like,
do you see the money that they make? If that was the case, Steam wouldn't be where they are. Come on,
they wouldn't exist. Yeah,
that is just patently untrue.
Oh, by the way, Brian, they said, how come you're not upset about the fact that you can't play Bloodborne on your PC?
Well, Sony published it, right?
Yeah.
If they publish it, then it's theirs, as far as I'm concerned.
Same thing with Street Fighter 5.
He's been consistent on that.
He has been consistent about that. Glorious War also says that it sounds like you guys want Walmart to be the only store in town.
No.
I don't want any. We don't want this. We don't want again.
I think he's trolling us.
He is trolling.
No, Glorious War. He's serious.
Nah, he's trolling. That's it.
No, he's not trolling.
We didn't just spend a whole hour talking about how we want everything to be everywhere just to say, yeah, we only want it in one spot. Come on.
Hey, we want the ability for you to buy a PS5 from Walmart, Best Buy, Target, if they sell that, because I have no idea, and some other mom and
Yeah.
pop shop.
Yeah.
We don't want Walmart to say, "Hey, the PS5 is only available from our shop and our shop only because they paid Sony." We don't want that because that's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, Sketch says by your side of the argument, Bloodborne should be on everything.
What? No, because it was published by Sony.
Yeah,
Sony.
They
if
do
you
whatever they
make
want. It's their
something-
These guys
shit.
are
They
against
made
third
it.
parties. They're against third party games. Just get
Yeah.
that clear. They're against
If you
third party
make
games.
something, you
Third
own
parties.
it, and you can do whatever you want with it. If something is set to be released into the wild for everybody, and you corral it away from 2/3 of that population for money, that's when it's a big move. It's kind of the same argument when we said like DLC. Is it on the disc or is it content that was made after? If it's on the disc, that means you've removed content from me, and you're an asshole. If it was made afterwards and it's not on the disc, then it seems like you actually spent the time to create this content and you're trying to entice me. It's the same principle. If you lock me away from content for money, fuck you. If you try and entice me to more content for money, cool.
Yeah. Okay.
That's always the case. It is always consistent.
Yeah. By the way, okay, I understand why he keeps bringing up Bloodborne, because Bloodborne is a From Software game that Sony locked down to their system.
Well,
So-
Sony helped make it. They
put money
funded
in
it.
there.
Yeah, like
It wouldn't
Bayonetta
exist- it
2
wouldn't
on.
Wasn't that the
Yeah.
same thing with the
Like how
Capcom
with
Street Fighter
Nintendo.
5? They
Yeah.
put the money in there.
Yeah,
No,
like Bayonetta 2 on Switch. Like I literally
the
have no
Nintendo
issue with
one.
that. Like
Yeah.
they pumped money into the game. Like the game would never be a thing. Like I even said, like, hey, why didn't Sony do that? Why didn't Microsoft do that? Like why didn't they come together or crowdfund or something? It's like no, Nintendo jumped the gun. They went in there. It's like okay, cool. So it's quote unquote their game now. Like if you pump money into it, then you can do whatever you want with the game. If you don't pump money into it, it should be available for everyone. That's my thing.
Yo, Mighty Nerd, be nice, man. Don't call these guys children. What's wrong
What?
with you, man?
Yes, me.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's move on to the last thing. Ironically, you guys are gonna laugh at this. Epic says it'll eventually stop paying for exclusives after all this shit.
Oh, okay. Their word means their word means so much to me. I can actually breathe a little easier now. Okay, everybody, the possible doomsday scenario that we were making sure we didn't want to come. It's not going to happen. They've told us it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
we cool.
Sure. I'm
Sorry
sure.
for freaking
I'm
out.
sure.
We just
I'm
thought
sure.
they were trying to undermine
Yeah.
our
You
rights
know,
as
it-
consumers for money.
The next step is going to be just when, let's say, EA with their sport games, because that's their bread and butter, and they say, you know what, we're still going to keep everything here. And Epic's gonna be like, how much do you want for one of those? And that's
Yeah.
what's going to happen.
All right, so you don't believe these guys? All right, I think
No,
that's
man.
fair.
No, man.
Actually,
Nah.
by the way, to close the circle here, Chris, what did Casey Hudson say about all this, the Anthem stuff? Because EA came out to I think it was Bioware came out, made a statement. Then Casey Hudson today made a statement. Casey Hudson, the guy who pretty much runs Bioware now. What did he have to say? Do you remember? Because he was talking about like, oh, we care about the gamers, blah blah blah. No, we care about our developers, all this other stuff.
Yeah, they were responding directly to Schreier's article, and I don't buy it. I think that was just damage control. He came out. He actually left Bioware and went back, and he was in charge of a lot of stuff. And he's in charge, I guess, of whatever the next Dragon Age is.
Yeah.
And they brought him out to do damage control, and I don't believe what he's saying. I think that they just like, oh shit, we got to say something about this.
Yeah, okay, this is interesting. So, because the Bioware statement, that was complete damage control, complete. It looks like the Casey Hudson thing, he came out and said that Bioware does have problems and they're trying to address them. So at least he's not like, no, I'm not hearing. You know what I'm saying? He's sticking his ears and his fingers in his ears.
It was a light version of it.
It's a light yeah.
It's like a light reaction. It's like, yeah, he's not saying, obviously, because he still works there.
Mhm.
He's not like, oh, like he's not like,
Well, yeah, but
there's nothing going
There's some
on.
PR shit
because
here too.
there's the business answer, which is the first response, right?
Mhm.
That's the PR marketing spin bullshit. We care about our customers. We care about our employees. Blah, blah. Yeah, sure you do. And then he's coming at it from, okay, this is from the developer side. But admitting you have a problem is not fixing the problem. He
Yeah.
didn't give a solution. He just said, yes, there's a problem. Okay, and then
But then the other portion of it would be the marketing version is like, them admitting they have a problem. Yes, we have a problem, and we are taking steps to improve things. That's the marketing answer. That would be a full-on marketing answer.
Yeah, and then I would just say that's a lie.
Yeah, to me, it's like
lies.
Even then, like, cool. Who cares? Like, it just strikes me as a weird thing. And I'm gonna kind of call back to, like, corporations are not people. Like, why do we the consumers? Somebody please explain this, because I seem to be the only one that's weirded out by this. Why do we the consumers? I understand. Why do we need to care what their motives are? Why do we need to care how these things happen? Why do we need to care why they drop the ball? Shouldn't all we care about as a consumer is our experience with the product? Like, if I bought, a blender and the blade broke, I wouldn't be like, well, Trump has a bunch of tax tariffs with China and it's making steel hard to get, so they've cheapened steel and the blender was only $20. I'd be like, motherfucker, a shard just broke off of my blender. These guys are sons of bitches. Like, I would be angry because my experience as a consumer, like, why have we strayed so far away from that? And we're now, like, giving these companies gimmies like, well, their team was a little blank and they were a little rushed, blah, blah, blah. Motherfucker, I still paid $60 for a game. I don't care why it's in the state that it's in. I only care that it is. Why am I the only one that seems to feel that way?
No, it's not that we're not giving anyone a pass for this.
Yeah, like I always said, you don't have to give them a pass. Obviously, you don't have to care. I'm just saying you should at least try to understand where they're coming from, even if you fucking disagree with it. You could, like, there's a bunch of shitty things that companies do. Like, for example, this whole thing that you guys were talking about. Like, on a ethical level, I understand where you're coming from, but on the real world sense, I'm like, okay, I see what they're trying to do here. Like, I don't like it, but that's how it is. So I'm not saying you have to like it or excuse it. You just have to understand it, because that'll help.
Let me ask you this then: does all of this that we found out about Anthem today change your opinion of the game?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay, that's all I care about. As long as you base your opinion of the game on the game.
Yeah,
I base it on the game. But I will say this. I'm sorry, Chris, but I will say this. After what I read, I definitely, because I was already on a tightrope with Bioware. I'm more or less done with the company. I don't trust them anymore. Like, okay, these guys are obviously not the Bioware that we remember from back in the day, so I shouldn't deal with these people anymore. That's what I got out of the report, But you're right. My feelings on Anthem were already solidified way before this thing. This thing just, kind of, I guess, reinforced my beliefs. Like, okay, that makes fucking sense why this game is such a hot mess.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we got an inside look. Like, we were asking, like, why is this game like this? Why? We don't know, because you don't know what's happening inside. Now we know. And obviously Schreier hit the nail on the head when the EA immediately responded to this thing and started trying to damage control it. And like Manny said, they're gonna lose money on it. But the thing is, like, I think you have to know this stuff. Like, you have even being a consumer. And saying, like, well, this is the way things are. It's like, but this didn't need to be this way, and those things need to change. It's like, can you get rid of crunch? No, but you could alleviate a lot of it by not having such terrible management, right? So the changes don't need to happen at the bottom. They're bleeding talent from the bottom, but they're bleeding the talent. They're not. I don't hear about a lot of executives leaving. Right, and that's where the changes need to happen to alleviate some of these problems.
Yeah, I think it's just good to be informed all around, not just, and it's funny, Brett, because, and I don't disagree with you that I sometimes see things just through my lens, but you're doing the same thing too right now, so, it's better to see it kind of as a whole,
I see it from the whole. I just don't, I still make my decisions and assumptions based on the product in my hand. I'm like, okay, I understand why it's that way. Like, and I, this sheds some light on a lot of things, the reasons why Anthem is the way that it is, but my opinion of the game doesn't change. And I'm just wanting to make sure, like, I feel like some people, I'm not saying anybody here, but I feel like some people.
He's talking about you, man.
What?
I'm fucking around. Go ahead, Fred.
What did I do?
I'm fucking around.
Everybody loves Manny. What?
I'm fucking around. Sorry, Brett. Go ahead. And by the way, this is the shit I want, because somebody's going to bring it up. You guys heard us yelling at each other like an hour ago. We don't take this shit too seriously, people. We're passionate motherfuckers, but we all love each other. Just how to get that
I
out.
hate everyone here. It's on record.
Adam, I love you
We're not
most of
playing
all.
Division anymore.
Oh, thank you.
Anyway, sorry, Bray. Go ahead, Ben.
I forgot what I was going to say.
You were talking about, why should you care as a consumer? And you do, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just basically, I feel like there are people, not Manny, that wink wink nudge nudge, that base their opinions around a company, and they'd be like, well, what are you gonna do? They're gonna do this, and I'm the first person to understand you got to make $1, you got to make $1 somewhere, you got to have a realistic business model, but at the same time, that can honestly make things worse at some points, where you're just like, oh, well, why'd they do that? Oh, just because they're assholes. Cool. Well, I'm going to try and not let that ruin the game for me. Like, it's best to try and make your opinions of the product completely independent of it. But I also do understand, I'm kind of stuck on the fence. Hating a developer will make you kind of hate the product.
Yep, that's true. Look at me. I'm being real right now. Look at me in Bethesda. I'm probably not as fair to them as I should be, but I don't care. I don't like their fucking games. I don't like their company practices,
But I think that's fair, though. Like, that's, again, like, as from the consumer's point of view, they should be worried about this. They should be worried about the shit that we're talking about on this podcast. They should be worried about what people are saying in their living rooms. Like, that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Companies don't seem to care what you think about them for the most part. They just seem to care how they can hostily pull every dollar out of your pocket by forcing you to.
That's the problem when you have a stockholder-based outlook instead of a consumer-based outlook. That's why they don't care what we have to say. They only care what shareholders have to say, right? We're inconsequential to them most part. They just want to take, like you said, take our money, right? But then they have shareholders who are throwing in like orders of magnitude more money to them. So that's who they cater to.
Well, and I think this is the end result of people trying to vote with their wallet. I think this is a big movement to tell people, hey, don't buy this game because Epic's trying to pull some shitty shit. We're going to make some big waves about it. I think people are trying to vote with their wallet. And honestly, I don't want to have to vote with my wallet. I don't want to have to not buy a game that I don't like or cripple a game company that I don't like. But at a certain point, don't we have to get the sign out there that, like, look, if you piss off your consumers enough, they will just fuck up your profits.
Well, unfortunately, you have to do that. That's the way, like, I agree with Tony, like, review bombing the old Borderlands.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's
doesn't
childish.
seem
That's
logical.
fucking childish, yeah.
But you go, hey, you know what? Send a clear message to Epic. Go on Reddit and wherever you got to go, or write to them and tell them, look, I'm not buying this fucking game from you. I don't give a shit. I'll wait till it's on Steam or I won't buy it at all. Like, you could go fuck yourself. Like, you just make that clear and then don't buy it.
That's what we'll find out if that happens when Borderlands 3 comes out.
Well, I mean,
if those PC numbers jump.
And do that for everything. Outer Worlds, all that stuff.
Yeah,
all that stuff that they
wallet,
locked
man.
down.
Full with your
Mhm.
wallet.
I
There you go.
am so mad about Outer. I didn't even know Outer Worlds was part of this discussion until you guys
Yes.
mentioned like 20 minutes ago, and now I'm just fucking.
Oh, there was
bad before, now I'm blah.
And I'll give it credit. There was outrage for that too. The Steam community was fucking pissed because they Outer Worlds got announced for it. It even on the site. I remember the poster. They had it on. They had the Steam logo on there, and they took it off.
I'm not even pissed about it being like. I would probably have gotten that on GOG, to be honest, but like, it's just goddamn it. Like, don't lock away content. I'll throw the word in there because we've all been circling around it, but nobody said it. It's anti-consumerist.
Uh-oh.
Taking content off of the field for profit is anti-consumerist. Creating new content to bring onto the field for profit is not anti-consumerist, and that's what I think it all boils down to.
I can't go for that one. Just had to throw. It's not a podcast opinion. Just had to get that out there. I can't rock with that. But you're entitled to it, and you should vote with your wallet. You don't like the shit, don't buy the game. Simple as that.
I feel like that's the biggest portion of it all. If people don't really like this thing, well,
Don't fucking buy it.
I would say. I mean, it's hard. It's hard for it to get. I mean, I would think that if any sort of community, the PC community could definitely pull something off like that. Where it's just a bunch of people just literally just not buying something for this system
Yeah,
excuse me, not for the system, for this store.
Yeah,
and I think
I'm sorry, May, go ahead.
I think that should be the same. That's the same for pretty much anything. I mean, granted, yes, complaining on the internet, yes, that does get the word out. But in the end of the day, really, what it takes to get the things to happen is not by yelling and screaming. It's actually by making them really pay for it.
Well, it's both. I think the yelling and screaming is part of it. I think that's what people.
That's what we just saw with the whole Star Wars Battlefront. There was yelling and the screaming, and then they're like, "Oh shit! All right, we'll pull that part."
But in the end, what was the real thing that really affected them?
It wasn't. No, it wasn't the yelling and the screaming. It got to a point where government got involved
because of the yelling and the screaming. If people didn't say anything, the government would have known. No one would have cared.
Also, here's the thing.
Yes, the tipping point. Yeah, was that. So yeah, sure.
The rabble rousing does help, and here's the thing, though: it's not necessarily rabble rousing. It's if I say I don't like this practice and I'm not going to participate, I'm not just going to sit there in peace and be very stoked and be like, I'm going to not do this thing because it does not align with my world point of view. No, I'm going to get pissed. I'm going to tell 2 friends. I'm a bitch about it on the internet, and the 2 friends that I told, they're going to look into it and they're going to get pissed. They're going to be like, you know what? He brings up a valid fucking point. I'm angry about this, and they're going to say something on the internet. And 2 friends telling 2 friends, telling 2 friends. When 1 million people are all telling 2 friends, it is a cacophony. It is so loud.
And then Jason Schreier writes a piece about it.
Yeah, that's all this is we're
Jason Schreier. I would say the crux about the Jason Schreier thing is because he is much more developer centric. I think he's more interested in what developers have to say rather than fans. That's why you'll never see him do an expose on the reaction of fans he
was all over the microtransactions from the Battlefront.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, and that was about the people bitching.
But didn't he also say at one point, I don't know why people are bitching?
Yeah, he said fans were being silly.
He's very more tilted toward the industry rather than the people that actually purchase the products that they get these things. So he probably I would say this, he probably went in there and saw he knew some things about the Anthem thing, but I also think it's because it is one of those hot button topics. He went and looked into it, but I don't think he's not looking into the other side of things.
I think the best
into actual consumers or the people that actually play it. He still generalizes everybody.
I think the best way to sum this up, especially to Tony, would be PC gamers are always on guard for the end of the world. So you can kind of look at them at like people who own bomb shelters and doomsday shelters.
I was about to say that. It's doomsday guys,
right?
Then, huh?
Yeah, when you look at them, you're like, dude, I mean, yeah, civilization might collapse, but it probably won't. And you're kind of crazy for building a bomb shelter. And they look at you and go, you are so vastly unprepared. Like, it's a different point of view. But at the same time, the difference is, if those same people who built doomsday shelters were like all division agents trying to stop the actual end of the world, it might make a little bit more sense. There are things that are encroaching on the PC gaming market. I don't think it's paranoid, personally, to say we want to keep this out of our community. But I can see how other people would look at me like, you guys are really like making a big deal over nothing. Yeah, because this little nothing combines with the next little nothing, and then it makes a big thing. And then once it's a big thing, we can't fight it anymore. That's how you all lost ground.
Well, it was like with the whole thing with millennials being okay with just getting streaming services and not owning anything. It's the same argument. A lot of us are used to getting certain things, having CDs and building collections. And while millennials are like, fuck that, I'll just do a streaming. I don't give a shit if it comes and goes.
Yeah, and now that's pretty much the norm, and we pretty much accepted it.
Well, to a point, as you see, my happy place did not accept it.
Yeah, well,
that's why I'm a hoarder.
The happy place is also digital too.
Yeah, my digital.
Yeah, we're not mad about digital. We just don't like content being locked away from us.
Exactly.
We're high sea sailors, man. We like our freedom. Like you don't pen wild stallions. And PC gamers are the least conformative of all the groups. There's a reason that they play on PC. A lot of them are the people who remember the wild west of the fucking internet. Some of them search the fucking dark web. They don't conform well. Of course, this is going to be the last bastion of wilderness in the gaming market.
So are you saying that PC gamers are like Dutch Vanderland's gang?
Kind of, yeah.
They're the last guys. They're the last holdouts. You know,
They're the last holdout, and they're
Go,
paranoid about
John.
everything. You know, just like Dutch,
We're
like,
the last of our kind.
someone looked at us cross-eyed in town. We need to leave. Like, you're like, really? Somebody just looked at you. If you're not looking for the signs that they're looking for, you're like, you're acting paranoid, motherfucker. But they're watching the signs in the ground, and I don't disagree. I don't think that they're being paranoid. But the best way that you can associate with PC gamers is they're constantly paranoid that everything bad about gaming is going to come into their platform.
yeah, I think I'm just not going to comment on PC gamers anymore. I don't fucking get it. Just like new Nintendo guys, I stopped with that. I stopped trying to understand, man. Let me read some of these comments. A lot of good stuff in the comments today. Even though they're very mad at the PC guys.
I know y'all hate us. I still love you though.
Yeah, man. Hey, they're gonna come back next week, man. Don't worry about that.
I love you all, but
Yes.
you're all fucking mad.
You're all fucking mad. Sketch says content is not locked. You still play the game on PS4 and Xbox One when it comes out.
He's like, but Brett's like, I can't play it at. Oh no, excuse me. But Brian's like, I can't play it at 4K 50.
60, man. 50's for peasants, man.
I mean, again, this isn't about the action. The action is fairly inconsequential, but the motives behind the action are insidious, and we don't want that to spread.
Glorious Word says these are the same guys that pay for overpriced graphics cards. Tell me how you really feel, bro.
Nah, man, I got mine from Micro Center refurbished. What?
Brian, what's your take on that? Because that's one of the typical arguments against PC gamers.
Overpriced graphics cards?
No, like like you'll buy like $1,000 graphics card, but then complain because the game costs like $60 or something like that.
Well, games shouldn't really be costing that much. In the first place, that's my opinion. That's a whole other discussion. But yeah, we do that. Like, look at me. I have a GTX 1080. I probably spend more time playing Warframe this year than any other game on PC, and Warframe's free.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know how the fuck that works, but that works.
There you go. Yeah, it's interesting, man.
You go where the
Some
heart
people-
is.
Some people like go out there buy like a intense like GTX 20 whatever thing, and then they'll play Minecraft.
PC gamers are weird, man.
Dude, there's so many subcultures. There's so many tribes in the PC. That's the other thing. Like, console gamers, like, we're a PlayStation 4 gamer. PC gamers are like, it's like being part of a republic. Like, there's a bunch of tribes around, but they're all kind of they're all PC people. But man, you have people like Brian who play things like Warframe, highly polished games. You have the waiters, as I call it, and they sit back, wait for great price breaks. Then you have the assholes like me who go charging in for the price break on early access games and fund my way through a broken ass game for 200 hours. It's weird, the spectrum that you see in PC gamers.
Then there's Wales. I have a guy on my list. He's got over 3,000 games.
Right?
The
Yeah.
whales. The whales are cool.
Yeah, he buys everything. And those are the ones that are also pissed because they have a nice collection. They have all their stuff organized from a certain publisher or a series of games. And then to find out, holy shit, the next one is coming. It's not going to be on this list. The next one is going to be somewhere else. I'm going to have to buy somewhere else. It's not going to make my collection nice and neat anymore.
Ooh, if you had OCD, that would be fucking
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And I'm sure they're freaking out over that because like, shit, I got all of them and I can't get this one.
Why do I have to put the last book on a different shelf?
Oh, God.
All right. Okay. Actually, here's one last thing. Just to end it off on a positive note. Sega Genesis, Mini is coming out, made by Sega, no at games. This is by M2. This is an internal Sega, company, a development team. Oh yes, this is the shit we've been waiting for. They announced 4 games. I believe it's $80 for this thing. Did they announce the whole list? I think.
It said it's $80. You could pre-order it.
Your boy pre-ordered that shit. Hey, Brian, you want to talk about me not buying shit, man? I bought that motherfucking shit.
As I remember, it was like 40.
No bueno.
As I remember, it was like 40 games that they said that were going to be on that thing, right?
Yeah, 40. Yeah,
40 games, and then there's 2 versions. There's a 1 controller and a 2 controller version.
Yeah, I got the 2 controller version for whatever reason. That was the only one available.
I mean, you can play with your friends.
If there's no quack shot, I don't want it.
Well, that's a Disney license. You got to talk to
there you go
about that one.
That because everything else we could play everywhere else. But man, that would be awesome. That would be nostalgia for me because that was one of the games I loved for Streets of Rage.
I think the one thing that you have to realize is that most of the games on there. With the Castlevania is also on there too. So no, I stand corrected.
Yeah, Chris, isn't that the Castlevania you wanted on there too?
No, not Rondo of Blood.
No,
Bloodlines.
Bloodlines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about.
That was a
Castlevania,
great
I mean,
ministry song. Everybody
Contra-
go listen to that. Bloodlines.
Contra Hardcore, another one that that's also a very rare one to find.
Yeah,
When
let me see. Here are the games that are announced so far. They didn't announce all of them yet. Eco the Dolphin, Castlevania Bloodlines, Space Harrier 2, Shiny Force, Robotnik's Beam Machine, Puyo Puyo, basically. Toe Jam and Earl, Comic Zone, Sonic the Hedgehog, Altered Beast, and Gunstar Heroes.
Oh my god!
Fucking excellent.
Yeah,
dude.
Oh,
you could play that now on the Sega Genesis collection.
Yeah, but Brett wants to play it on his.
I want to play it on his Sega Genesis. Oh god, man!
A little miniature Sega Genesis.
I want to see our TV and shit.
By the way, I knew Brett was going to freak out when I said Gunstar Heroes, man.
Oh man, I'm gonna sit on the carpet.
Gunstar. You could play that on your Switch right now, Brett. Gunstar Heroes is on it.
I'm gonna sit in front of a CRTV on the floor and play that shit.
Yeah, by the way,
CRTs aren't good for your eyes. Don't you remember that shit?
I don't think this thing could probably. I don't think this thing plugs into a CRT.
No, I know it doesn't. I know it doesn't.
You're gonna get.
But I mean, the Gunstar Heroes with me.
By the way, I'm gonna let you guys in on a little bit of a secret. One of my bucket list things is if I ever own either a home or a bigger apartment, I want a CRTV that plays old school consoles. That would be fucking amazing.
Dude, I want to have a whole corner that's decorated just like the 90s.
Chris,
Yes.
don't you have that? You have a CRT, don't you?
Yeah. I have old consoles hooked up to it.
And Manny, I don't want a shitty one. I want the best CRT possible before they discontinued them. You know what I'm saying?
The Sony Waga ones.
Yeah, man.
The Trinitron TVs.
The Trinitron Waga something shits.
That'd be dope, man. So yeah, I believe this is coming out in September. I don't know the date. I just know September. I'm all over that shit. I'll replay it.
They announced this at a Sega thing.
Give me that shit.
Cool.
Unless I can get my rugby game also on it and see some blood.
Manny, what else did they show at the Sega thing?
Oh, what they kind of did was, I watched it on and off throughout the weekend. When it was on, they kind of just revealed things every single day, and it was a lot of Japanese games because obviously, it's in Japan. They didn't really go through too many of the Western games. I think we're probably going to get more of those announcements, on our side, just kind of rolling through a year, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
which is, I think it's cool. It's was it $80, and you said it's and it's got way more games.
Yeah,
and
it's gonna have 40. It's not 20 like Nintendo ones,
Mm-hmm. So
I'm fucking there, man. And thing, by the way, I'm only doing this because I support Sega. I have access to all this shit right now. But
you could literally buy the guys who made the Super NT's console, which is the Repro, the Genesis console.
Dude,
the one that actually plays cartridges.
Yes,
that actually plays cartridges and connects to the Sega CD and plays Sega Master.
Hey, look at that. That's badass. That is badass.
I heard they got jailbroken too, so you can play.
Hold on.
There you go.
I'm gonna get you right now. He goes, Tony, Sega is being anti-consumerist for not putting all these classic games on PC and PlayStation. Actually, they are available on PlayStation and
they
PC.
are.
Yeah, they are.
Well, we just said it. The Sega Genesis Classic has Gunstar Heroes, has Streets of Rage 1, 2, 3, has all of this shit.
That must have been fresh because that snap was crazy.
Yeah, Gunstar Heroes has been released multiple times, even on its own app.
Yeah, man, you already know. Yeah, I've been, playing the Sega Genesis collection on Steam because the Steam has the best version. It has 70 games on it.
70 games.
We would be pissed if Sony came along and bought the rights to all Sega's classic games and put them all on.
Yeah, that would be whack.
I wouldn't. I got a PlayStation. I'm good. I can play those games then.
See, but consistency. That's all I'm saying.
I am being consistent. I don't have a problem with that.
Hero.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. You're being consistent. I'm being consistent, and that's what we need from everybody. Even if you disagree, as long as the guy's being consistent that you disagree with.
Shit. Now I think I'm gonna buy that shit for Switch right now. I think I'm about to click the button.
Oh shit.
Push that button.
Push the
I
button.
want to play. I want to play my games.
You never played Gunstar Heroes.
Gunstar Heroes is a great game, man.
God damn, I did not know that was on Switch.
Fantastic.
Yeah, man. The whole thing, all the Streets of Rage, all of them. It's all there, and it's awesome because the interface looks like an old 1989 room, and you see all the games on the side. You see a CRT in front of you. You move around the room, and then you select the game you want.
I did like that.
You got VHS tapes on the floor and shit, and there's like a VCR underneath the TV.
See, that's the kind of shit, man. Like I want to have that's when we talk about a gaming hub. Like I want to have that, like
Yes.
in my PSN. Like, dude, you come over to my fucking 90s room, check out my CRT, them all jump into Division.
That's Ready Player One, man. The Oasis.
Right?
I encourage everybody to check out this channel called, Manny knows it too, and Chris, Metal Jesus. He has the ultimate gaming room, man. All those
Oh
old
my
school,
God, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that guy's that guy lives in that room.
Him
That
and
room
his
is
wife.
insane.
Yeah, like you look at that room, like you want to go in there and like bow down, you know? And by the way, Brett, when you were talking about Wild Stallions, I was thinking about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Wild Stallions! Manny, that was perfect. Good
You know what, Tony?
What?
So was I.
Yes, there you go. All right, man. I hope they don't fuck up the next movie, man. But they got Keanu Reeves. They got Alex Winter.
That was so crazy to see that video.
Yeah, I was like, hey,
Yeah,
Alex
man.
Winter.
I was
Alex
not
Winter's back,
expecting
baby.
that. I really was not expecting that. I thought it was an April Fool's.
I love how Bill and Ted saved the world by doing a Kiss cover.
Yes.
Yeah,
God gave
Everything
rock and roll
about
to you.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
It
amazing.
literally turns into a Kiss song.
Yeah. God gave. Yeah, I don't want Kiss doing this. I'm gonna stop. Fucking Gene
They
Simmons
should bring
comes
back
after.
Strutter.
Copyright.
Wait, that was enough, Tony.
All right. Oh shit! Damn it, Adam, stop it! No more Kiss. All right, man. So that's gonna do it. Actually, Manny, you have any announcements? You usually have an announcement or anything?
No, I actually one announcement I do have. Me and Tony, Tony and I did a unboxing for the what
Yes.
controller?
The Astro C40 TR PS4 and PC controller. So yeah, we have an unboxing. Shout out to Astro. They invited me to an event on Monday. They gave me the controller. I put it through its paces. Normally I write these things a day, but like I need to really go into it. And Adam, as I was telling him, I was playing the Division with it. Fucking dope controller. Very pricey, admittedly, $200. But if you're in the market for like a high grade, controller, this is the fucking thing. to
Now
get.
you mentioned that you can swap out parts. How
Yes.
much of the parts? I'm sure they're going to sell those
Yeah,
in case shit
could
fucks up or different colors.
You can switch out the modules, they call them, and they cost. The price hasn't been locked down yet, but it's going to be between $25 and $25. By the way, since we're talking about that, I learned some shit. Okay, for you guys who listen to Throwdown, you guys have heard us tell stories about how back in the day when Manny used to get like a new controller, he would have me come over and break the shit in for him because apparently me playing it for one session or two would be like the same amount of wear and tear that he would put into it in like a couple of months or something, right? So I thought I was hardcore. No, apparently these the hardcore pro players, they go through controllers every 3 months. They fucking destroy them. So this controller is like built to last. So I'm like, damn, I treat my controllers good. I still have my original PlayStation 4 controllers.
When you do that, I'm thinking you're just pressing really hard, like in the different directions, right?
Yeah,
That's
like,
really what it.
I don't get it. I'm like, these guys are serious, bro. But then the cool thing is, even though the controller is made for pro players, it trickles down to guys like us. We get the benefits of it. And Adam, I was telling you how I think paddles are like the next thing. I think. I'm gonna change my mind slightly. I think buttons are the next thing.
So it's like
that
Power A one. Remember the Switch had the 2 extra buttons,
and that was really good too. Again, I don't need to show you guys. Check out the videos, half an hour. Me and Manny unbox it. Really good stuff. Also, April 25th, Manny and I will also be at the Tribeca Games Festival for a little bit, which is going to be pretty cool.
So yeah, I mean, if you're going to see, there's going to be one of the a conversation with Kojima and what's his face, Norman Reedus and I think Keeley's is hosting it. So yeah, we're going to be down there. So if you guys are going there, show up. What up? Say what up.
Yeah. Also, not gaming related, but if you're a metal fan and you're going to see Dream Theater on Friday on the 15th, Manny and I will be there. Come say hello to us. We'll be rocking out. It's going to be awesome.
We'll at least know 2 people that might be there
Yeah,
that listen to the show regularly.
It's crazy. All right, man. So that's going to do it for us. So thank you for watching and listening. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Follow us on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook at Throwdown Show. Links are located in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco, and tonight was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you later, guys.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Brett Murdoch.
Be excellent to each other.
Adam Vale
Shalom.
and Brian Manjoma.
Can someone please come to the UK and tell the government to actually get Brexit to happen?
It's almost done, man. It's almost done.
No, they're not doing anything.
They're not doing nothing. We're not gonna get into politics, but I'm with Brian. Somebody fix that fucking mess.
And this shit.
Trump, help us.
Yeah,
You're our only hope.
Desperate words.
Oh God. Oh, the state of the empire, man. The state of the empire. All right, guys. Later.
Deuces.
Later, guys.
Oh, one last thing. Adam and Chris and me, Division 2 World Tier 5 tomorrow, baby. Let's fucking
today.
go.
Oh yeah.
Tomorrow's the day. Oh, they said 2 exotic weapons, and one's an SMG.
Adam, I'm already erect enough, man. Stop.
This is gonna be it.
I
Plus,
can't
I'm
wait.
telling you, that gear, all the shit, like that's the thing I was
All
reading
the
today. It was
talent.
like, save all the stuff you have, so that way when that shit pops, you can sell You're gonna have to sell pretty much everything you have and just get the new shit.
Oh, God,
That's
I
it.
can't wait. All right, man. We'll see you. Peace out.